No, it's not really research, it's just info.
All right, I'm going to call this regular
he's on
City Commission meeting to order on May 1st at 7 p.m. And we have Pastor Slayton here tonight. He's going to lead us in prayer, and immediately afterwards we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill, please rise.
Good and gracious God, Father and Creator of all, we turn our eyes toward you. We ask that you would keep us always focused on the notion that we are truly all members of this one community, all gathered for the common good. We pray that you would send us your wisdom, your prudence, and your guidance, that we might truly seek the common good and the good of all, and have an open ear to all who would have their say. We ask your guidance in this and in all things, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Chiardi.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Present.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Here.
Commissioner Buckner.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Here.
Commissioner Turner.
Here.
City Manager Leavitt. Here.
Moving on to communications. We've got a dependency commission agenda items, which is basically the same from last time, so I'm not going to read them again. And then we've got a letter from the DNR about the pavilion rec room.
Make a motion to accept communications and place on file.
Support.
Motion support. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Communications has been accepted. We're moving on now to our public comment portion of the meeting. You're invited to come to the podium and address the commission. Please keep your comments to under 5 minutes and state your name and address. I'd like to remind you that we do have a public hearing tonight, so if you want to speak on any of the issues involving the hotel development, you might want to save those for the public hearing. Would anyone like to come to the podium? Rosalie?
With this nicer weather, it sure is great to live in a riverfront community like Marine City. The flowers are blooming. This particular today, the water's really blue. The freighters are coming downstream. It certainly is a beautiful place to live in. First, I want to say that this week is National Small Business Week, and Google on Wednesday offered seminars all over the state on how to use Google and even free aspects of Google to put your business on the map. I'd like to network with anybody. My phone number is 765-2843. That's 765-2843. I could email people information on what I learned on that. I just want to make one comment. This is from the new primer. It's called ADA Update, a primer for a small business. It's available on the internet from the U.S. Department of Justice. But I know we often say, oh, there's plenty of parking, people can walk. But this is the first line of the sentence from page 12 under parking. If your business provides parking for the public, but there are no accessible spaces, you will lose potential customers. I think that's something we need to remember. When we don't have enough parking for our businesses, we're losing potential customers. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Haas.
Bill Haas, 203 Pleasant. Well, before I come home from work, I was ready to tell you my truck is going to be parked downtown for 3 months, means it's been about 3 months since I first showed up. Yeah, we're making a little bit of progress. Boat got chopped up today when I come home. Boy, that was a nice shock. Even went into my other house and looked around that for a little bit. So yeah, I start working on this, you know. So I'm not here to complain too much. I do have a thought process though, and I had to stop by and ask somebody about it. And we got all these empty square spots where all the trees been taken up. And somebody had made a comment about different things, pavers, this, that, and I understand Mr. Ittrich bought about 3 or 4 skids of pavers for a reasonable price. Now maybe if the city's not going to put a tree there, he could generate his funds back and maybe make a few bucks, coughing up a few pavers to fix a few squares, unless you figured out what you're going to do with that yet. Not quite sure. Good idea, though. I mean, I don't know. And then another thing with the public auction deals, or however you do it, sealed bids, that needs to get out there a little bit. You know, how much money are you losing on that action? You know, my thing's about making money. You know, I've been working for a living since I've been 18 years old, and I'm not doing better than most. I ain't sitting in your shoes, but I'm doing better than most. Another thing with the boat that got cut up today, I think our renters with the 0% property homestead, they deserve decent sidewalks. You know, you gave Baba He a shout out last week. Baba He's why I'm here. You know, Chamber of Commerce thought they were big and bad and were somebody. Well, you know, you're going to smash a resident, make sure you're smashing the right resident. Because now you know, you woke up a 20-year giant. Getting back to that aspect, where I go, the sidewalks. I know, just lost my train of thought. But you're making progress. You want me to be nice? Keep the progress up. Like I say, 20 some years. I could have cared less until somebody the 252 property that there was an alleged problem that there's the ex-president Chamber of Commerce, Georgia Palin, familiar name. She was on the board, you know, when all this happened last year. You know, like I say, people ain't blind. Been here 20 years. I don't drink wine with you, eat your cheese with you, but I ain't stupid and I ain't paid attention. You know. All right, have a good one.
My name is Lorraine Tepper. I live at 250 Riverview Street, and I'm bringing a problem forth here. It's about the easement at the end of Riverview Street. It borders my property, and you're wondering why it's such a problem? Well, in the warm weather, especially on weekends and holidays, many people set up on the easement for most of the day. They bring small tables, umbrellas, chairs, coolers, radios, and their dogs. And some don't leave till really later in the day. In the last 2 years, there were 3 family reunions or large parties going on all day, and there were between 15 and 25 people in the groups. At the same time, the newest South Park had only a handful of people there. It's like that many times during the summer. People aren't using that park for some reason like they should. So many activities are going on the easement, like swimming, picnicking. One year, people were actually grilling about 10 feet away from the hedge bushes that I have right on the edge of the property. Sometimes there's drinking, dogs running into my yard, people coming into my yard, even when I'm having family get-togethers. They leave trash behind. And small children are running barefoot a lot in the area where many residents bring their dogs to cool off in the river. And most people are really good about picking up after their dogs, but some aren't. And children and adults run all over that area barefooted. I'm requesting that the City Commission and the Police Department of Marine City would provide a metal sign at least 8.5 by 12 inches, or whatever size they would think appropriate, made of metal to be posted where the people would see it for sure. It would have to be on the grass or near the edge of the river, right in that area. If the sign was installed by the guardrail at the end of Riverview, no one would see it and they wouldn't read it because there's always cars parked there during the day until the beach closes and beyond. And nobody would ever see it or read it. I do have an example of a sign that maybe could help if the police department or the commission would be able to provide a permanent sign. And I'm just asking for your help on this problem. It's getting worse every year. That's it.
Look into it for you.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, my name's Susan Wilburn. I have been selected as the building inspector for the city. I just wanted to introduce myself. If anybody has any questions, I'm available. I will be having office hours. They are to be determined as of now, but we will be, posting them, I'm sure, on the website. If anybody has any questions or anything that they'd like to speak with me about at any time, feel free to get a hold of me.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Thank you.
Sir?
Joe Clausen, 620 North Mary Street, Marine City. I tried to get an agenda off of the line this morning off your website, about 7, 8 o'clock. I got on the site, and then when I went to print the agenda after reading it, the site went off and said that we were froze out of it. I had one of the other. Yeah. It came up that we were blocked by our firewall, and we called our tech, and he said it was your problem on your end. But I did finally get an agenda, so I basically all I had was with the trees. I went down and measured the tree to the south of the bakery, and from the back of the curb, it was 18 inches to the tree. When I open my door, I have 3 feet. So I already talked to Mike about it, and he's already said that they're going to take care of that. Less trees, or plant them so that when you park in the parking spot, the door you can get out and go shopping. So the other thing I had is, I remember way back when, and I had to look it up, but under ADA, if you had federal loans or you got a federal grant, you have to comply with ADA. So you have to watch when we do these businesses, the sidewalks and stuff, that they comply if they're getting grant money. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good evening, everybody. Joe Moran, 710 Pleasant Street. So congratulations, you have a budget. Good job on that. Good job. Several people have commented to me on the decorum of the last 3 meetings which we had, where we had multiple speakers, and just like tonight, standing room only, which is pretty good. Positive comments are always good, but what concerned me was the people were making the comments from the position that usually our meetings are rancorous and negative, and that was kind of disturbing. We're getting a reputation as a great place to visit and a great place to live, but we also have a reputation as being negative. Since his birth, Marine City has been a city divided. Newport versus West Marine, shipbuilders, captains, business owners versus sailors and carpenters and millwrights. Left bank, right bank, precinct 1, precinct 2, tax resistors, tax spenders. Let's not forget the indifferent in that too. Our city's undergoing a renaissance, which is both widely recognized and applauded, and that has the potential to do great things for this city. Added revenues, added jobs, businesses, homeowners and businesses coming into the area, not to mention the increase in our property values. The negativity has to stop. The anger, the jealousy, the nastiness, the behind-the-back undermining of the city's progress has to stop. It must stop. We need to be one Marine City, a city where everybody counts, a city where people know that their concerns are listened to and their needs are met. This is not to say that everyone gets what they want all the time. People must be convinced, though, that they will be dealt with fairly within the rules of a democracy. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. It's incumbent upon this body to set a positive tone and earn the confidence of all the people. You must embody and model one Marine City. Now, this doesn't mean that you're all going to agree all of the time. It's part of your job to discuss, to disagree, to debate, to differ. But it is the job to determine what's best for all of Marine City and to facilitate bringing that about. Unfortunately, I've heard too often from members of this commission, my people, my constituency, the people who voted for me. There are no political parties here in Marine City. There are no districts, no wards, no parishes. Members are elected by the city at large, by all of Marine City. We don't just represent Water Street here, or 3rd Street, or Pleasant Street. We represent every street and every citizen. You've got to do your best to represent every citizen, every point of view. So go ahead and have your debates, disagree, throw punches if you must. But at the end, you must decide what's best for all. In the absence of a consensus, a majority must rule. You have to come together as a team, play as a team, act as a team, and present yourselves as a team with a united front to support whatever decisions are made by this group. The goal of the team is Marine City wins. That sounds pretty good to me. The city deserves nothing less. One Marine City, nothing less, will earn the confidence of all the people. Thank you.
Good evening. Melissa Fisher, 240 South Water Street. I just wanted to comment, very nice, as he said we should include. Ever since the last meeting, I thought about it, and it's nice to know that we have to branch out from Water Street. Our city is one is all, is Broadway down our street of Parker, keeping everybody involved, whether we're putting together a community event or trying to get everybody on the same page or just trying to boost the town. The whole town needs to boost together as one. Having each other's backs, getting along, supporting one another, whether we're in competition or not, is a must. And it will be nice to see that, and it's seeing a little bit more and more of that, and just kind of keep that up. I just wanted to come here tonight to support the Burtons. Very great people, hard-working individuals that brought a lot to the city. When I heard there was a theater coming to town, I was kind of like, could it be really a theater or could it be a theater? It could go both ways. But I just have to say, the growth that I've seen in the city due to the theaters versus just, sometimes at late at night I get people that are leaving dinner and they'll ask me, what is there to do tonight? And a lot of shops are closed at that time, which is normal for shops to close at a decent time in the evening. You're not open till 10 o'clock being an antique shop. But it's nice to be able to give them somewhere else to go. Or, hey, you know what? Next time you come out, check out a dinner, check out a movie, whether it's the Mariner or the theaters. And to house people around here, the hotel is going to be amazing, and I'm excited to see the growth of it in the city. There's not a lot of places to stay in the city, so a lot of times people like to make a weekend out of their event and not drive back and forth. Their house gets booked, other places get booked quite fast. So I think that'll be nothing but an asset to our town to have that hotel on the end, the joining theaters to help boost everybody from Water Street to Broadway to all around the town. So all I have to say is good luck to you guys, and I hope the best works, because the more businesses open in this town, the more community we are, and it's nice to see us growing. So, that's all.
Do we have anyone else who'd like to come up here?
I am a young guy, but mature enough to know that you don't air people's dirty laundry in a public meeting. So, to that end, I will just give you guys these documents and suggest you read the highlighted portions. The mayor's already had this document for 2 weeks.
Could you please go to the podium and state your name and address?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I just really feel it's important that you guys look those over so you know who exactly you're supporting. It's very important. Okay, so 218 Pleasant Street, Mike Hill Frank. All of you in front of me, I'm sure, remember the Good Old Boys Club and all the political turmoil and taxpayer money they cost Marine City. That was a bit before my political time, so I had to do some research and came across the poem about the sitting commission at that time on the Where's Wally Facebook page. I will read part of that poem. The recall election is happening today. The issue at hand, will they go, will they stay? Bob Lepley and members of the Marine City Commission have lost touch with voters and forgotten their mission. Tax dollars were squandered on bad decorations. They couldn't care less for good public relations. The streetscape is ugly. They wasted our money, while Lepley and friends think the whole thing is funny. They ignored all the comments, opinions, and views of Marine City residents, and so unrest brews. Bob Lepley is nervous, John Gabriel is packing, the commission is worried, they're in for a whacking. The police chief is thinking that he'll get the old axe, and the voters are tired of paying the tax. The streets of the city are all cratered and wrecked, while city officials said, oh, what the heck. They outsourced the water plant, which was a big goof. City water and sewer rates have now gone through the roof. The voters have had it right up to their ears. It's time to get ready for kicking some rears. That was back in 2010. After reading this poem, I can't help but think that almost nothing has changed as far as the political landscape of Marine City since the poem was written 6 years ago. Sure, downtown has changed for the better, and that is awesome, but the same conflicting political discourse exists today that did then, as shown by the recent PA 33 vote and the public outrage of $1 million being wasted on Old City Hall as newly restored bricks continue to fall out of the building with nobody being held accountable for either the terrible workmanship or the $1 million burned on a building that continues to sit vacant and virtually useless, and so potentially dangerous that anyone wishing to tour Old City Hall must first sign a waiver. You would think you were touring Chernobyl by being required to sign a waiver, but no, that is just our Old City Hall. But even with the outrage and the obviously dangerous nature of the building, presentations are still being made in front of Tifa by those related to the Good Old Boys in an effort to waste even more money on the $2.2 million needed to restore the inside of 300 Broadway. Please stop the insanity and stop listening to the majority, please stop the insanity and start listening to the majority you represent, not just a select few that are in the current club. There was a phrase repeated numerous times in the last meeting in an attempt to lead this commission into believing that this majority is actually a vocal minority. However, all you have to do is look at and accept the results of the PA 33 vote to see that the long-standing residents of Marine City have finally become the vocal majority after being silenced, sometimes by direct intimidation, for so many years. I recently asked a business owner of 15 years in Marine City to expand on their comment of "I wasn't really impressed" in response to watching the last commission meeting on Facebook. And the reply was one which we should never hear anywhere in America, let alone our quaint little town. They said, "Sorry, Mike, a few years back having an opinion caused me a bunch of issues, so I will just stick with not impressed." Brave men and women have given their lives for our fundamental American right to express your opinion freely, and those within the Good Old Boys Club should be absolutely ashamed of themselves for disrespecting not only the loyal citizens of Marine City, but those who have died protecting our freedom of speech as well. If any of you follow the virtual town hall meetings we are having on Facebook, you will see that people are done remaining silent while our government leaders spend our money wastefully and are sick and tired of those leaders not listening to them. The formerly silenced majority has spoken up loud and clear, as shown by the PA 33 vote, that this council still chose to pursue after an identical tax increase was just voted down 18 months earlier, and also ignored the recommendation of our city manager to rescind PA 33. So I ask this simple question in hopes of getting an answer at the end of this meeting. If you don't listen to the person's recommendations, who you appointed to manage this city, and you don't listen to the people that elected you, who are you listening to? Thank you.
Bob Klingler, 837, 824, 857 DeGursey, 1300 Parker, 1295 Parker, 374 Bowery. I kind of represent the old and the new. I am old, but when I was new, I came to Marine City with my grandparents. It was a beautiful place. 6 months old, I was in the river. I was building sand castles out of bricks that were from the Long Lane farm that burnt down. I loved it. Beautiful, beautiful place to grow up. Went away, met my wife, started a business, and wanted to come back. Marine City is a beautiful place, but it has two people in it. It has an old person, old people, Marine City people that have always been here, and it has new people. My 5 minutes, and I won't take a minute more, Ray, because trust me, time's precious. When you're 65 years old, it's precious. I want the old and the new to come together. I want David, Terry, and I want Ray. I want everybody to come together with the beautiful people with here, and I would like to invite them up to the podium as the old and the new people, and look at what the people that came here tonight, they both love Marine City. They love the water. They love the house they bought for $30,000. They love the 12-foot rowboat, 14-foot crestliner they go fishing with. They want a new hotel. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have the old and the new come up. If you would, please. Come on up. Come on. Because I want to be together on this, okay? I got a minute left. And when I say the old and the new, everybody loves Marine City. We all love it for a reason that either goes back, as with me in 1951, it goes back, way back, and it goes to brand new people that care and love Marine City. And no matter what happens, you know, there's only one Marine City in the United States. And I want Marine City to be the best Marine City. I've invested in it. I came back, and so did all these people. They stayed and they came in new. And don't forget that. We all love it. That's why we're here tonight. I saw the April 21st, Paul Dingaman records you. I saw that April 21st. You know what? Hey, we all want the same thing. We want Marine City to be someplace that we can live and love. So my 5 minutes are up. I thank you. These people, and there's 100 more that didn't come and wanted to come tonight, and they all feel the same way. No matter what they love, what part of it, they love the beach party, they love the sidewalks that are going to get fixed, they love the art gallery, they love the, can't wait to fix Bell River Road, they can't wait to have everybody happy in it. They want everybody to pull their fair share, but they love Marine City. So thank you. That's basically all I have to say. And I'm sure if these people had 5 minutes, we'd be here till tomorrow. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.
Do we have anyone else that wants to come to the podium? Got one more.
Joe O'Pilly, 406 Robertson Street. I'm kind of one of those new people that get into being an old person. Moved here when I was young with all my kids because of the quaint little town, the great schools, a few people I knew up here that were really nice people, and now all my kids are Marine City people, born, raised here. One's moved away, beautiful house in Chesterfield. They're talking about wanting to come back. I'm here about one thing tonight, and that's the property maintenance around this city. There are some houses that need a lot of work. I'm not talking about just nitpicking little things, but on the corner of Bell and 3rd Street, I'm sorry, Robertson and 3rd, there's a house that I've been discussing with City Hall since the previous city manager. Nothing gets done. I've talked with other people. Another neighbor who's put complaints on the same house couldn't be here tonight. We've been told in the past it's been being worked on. I don't know what the issues are. Just like the last gentleman said, we love this town. I moved here. I love it. It's getting to the point where if I move, I'd like to move out of it because the property maintenance has gone down. And I know property maintenance. I'm ICC certified as a property maintenance inspector, 1 and 2 family dwelling inspector, and a housing and zoning inspector. I was a property maintenance officer for 5 years. I'm a municipal employee for 29 years. I know what it takes. It can be tough. I did it. But it can be taken care of if you have a plan, which we should have, and you have an employee, which I've been told we do have, that can take care of it. Understand we're a small community. We can't have a lot of full-time people, but this is going on years of being taken care of. I've been told over a year ago that there was a ticket. He'd be brought to court. It cleans up a little bit, it comes right back. He's got things, I've got some photographs, if anybody would like to see them. You may be aware of it, but go by there. Tell me if you'd like to live there. House across street, opposite corner of the same intersection, has had a tarp on the roof for 4 or 5 years, if not longer. Porches that are falling off with no steps. Nothing's ever done. If we follow the property maintenance code of the building code, there's no reason they're that way. I was on the zoning board for about 3 or 4 years a while back, about 10, 12 years ago or more. I knew exactly what the zoning ordinance was then. I haven't had time to get the current one, so I'm not sure if we use the same one or if we've adopted the property maintenance code. I don't know if anybody can tell me that. Well, you probably should find out so you know exactly what should be done, and I'd like to see something get starting to be taken care of. I bought a house here, like he said, not 30,000, but quite reasonable. It's been almost 29 years, I guess. And I've seen the city change quite a bit. Yeah, there's a downturn. Everybody's property values went down. Ours are not rebounding nowhere near as like most of Michigan. More and more people are renting here because they can't get their house to sell. Nobody wants to buy a house on a block. Shortly after I moved in, the house across the street was in terrible shape. People lived there. Nice people, just never took care of it. When they moved out, I went to City Hall and I said, and now this is a little over 20 years ago. I said, look, if I wanted to sell my house, which I've put a lot of time, a lot of money, additions, the whole shot on it, and the same house was down the street, I will not sell my house. People had moved out. They basically condemned the building. It had to be redone. Within 1 year, so my taxes got lowered. They said for 1 year, and by that time either we'll have the house torn down or it'll be remodeled. It got remodeled. 1 year to remodel a whole house. We're working on probably close to 3 years, and 2 years of my time getting tired of looking at property around here, especially the ones at the corner of my block, to just be cleaned up. Not straightened up where it all comes off the grass and goes on the porch, and then comes back off and goes on the grass, and then it goes on the porch, and so forth. That's my 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to amend the agenda to add item 11M, the City of Marine City Building Official Employment Agreement, under new business.
Well, is that the proper motion? We're just making a motion to
amend the agenda.
to accept the amended agenda.
Do I have to?
Any discussion on that one? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? So the agenda's been amended. That was your motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
Let's just
You want a motion to approve the agenda?
As amended. Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the agenda's been amended. We need the item 7A, which is the City Commission regular minutes from April 21st. We need a motion to approve those minutes.
Make a motion to approve the City Commission regular meeting minutes of April 21st, 2016.
Support. The motion and support. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Minutes have been approved. Moving on to the consent agenda. We have item 8A, which is Historical Commission minutes from January 19th. We have item 8B, which is the Tiffin minutes from March 15th. We have item 8C, which is a business license for Brenner Contracting LLC. And we have item 8D, which is a special event application for Memorial Day Parade.
To approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on any of these items? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda's been approved. All right, now we're moving on to item 9A. So notice is hereby given that the Marine City Commission will conduct a hearing to receive public comments on the commercial redevelopment district for the Inn on Water Street at this time at 7:38. So we are now officially into the public hearing. Anyone like to come up and address the commission on the commercial redevelopment district? No.
You have one.
Rosalind?
I know Rosalie Squires, 211 Michigan. You know, I know that a lot of people come up here and they say, well, you know, we all should be positive about all this and think the same. I know generally on a whole people marry opposites, and I don't know that they think the same because I know my husband and I don't think the same. I even have animals that don't think the same, so I don't know how that happens, but I do know this. Recently, my cousin that retired as a colonel in the National Guard Army, that served in Vietnam, he served in Desert Storm, and served in Iraq. He sent me a list of all the relatives that have served in in the service, from the First World War all the way down, like I said, to the current wars. And I think if I have that many people that have served in the war, including people that have died and gotten hurt, I can say whatever I want. I don't think it matters. And I think this whole thing that, this whole idea that, you know, you don't serve your constituents, that you're not Republican or Democrat, hold on a minute. Even if you're Republican, you're supposed to serve everybody in the body. And even if you're Democrat, you're supposed to do the same thing. So I think when somebody says that, that's very important. This body should meet the needs of everyone. I have some real problems with this sin. Biggest one being is that the way I see it, not any money is ever going to be going into the general fund from this business. And I'll tell you why. It's in a TIFA district. And this is how TIFA works. A lot of people don't know how TIFA works. And don't argue with me and say this isn't how it works, because I've been to meetings at state level over and over and over again, and I've been told this over and over again. It captures money. In the case of the TIFA districts that we have in this town, they're 1980, I believe, 240. They were only in existence for 7 years because the state of Michigan thought they were trouble, and you can no longer have a TIFA like that in any state, in any area in the state of Michigan. So we have about at least a third of the city in TIFA districts. And what happens in a TIFA district is this. Anytime somebody improves their property, any of the tax that goes up, any of the value that goes up, and the tax that's paid on that property, it goes into TIFA districts instead of that portion that would normally go into the general fund. And this has been going on since 1987 is around when we created our districts. So let me give you an example. Like Dr. Gilbert's office. When I used to go there in the early part of 2000 next to McDonald's, it was just a house. He's made great improvements to that building. You would never even know it was a house. But all that money, all that added tax revenue increase, because he put a parking lot where he used to have a gravel parking lot, it's a bigger building, he's added office rooms and all sorts of stuff. Instead of that going into the general fund, that's going into the TIFA. And same thing with there was a building added, we added 35,000 square feet to VG's. Same thing, that's in a district. That's not going into general fund. It's not coming out of the general fund. It's just never ever going there. So now we're going to have it in. And we already okayed money for them that we guaranteed their loan. We're also going to pay their almost $170,000 loan to clean their property. Then anything that they put in for that property from here on in, it's not going to ever go into the general fund. It's all going to go back to TIFA. So again, it's going to go into special projects. And they're asking for more. On top of it, we're going to be paying that loan, so they're going to get that loan free. They want tax abatements. I can't see how they can make the path of travel and all the ADA accommodations. And those laws have been made a lot more stringent in 1910 because of the Paralyzed Veterans of America lobbied for them, and they've got a lot more teeth in them. You can't get away with not doing things ADA compatible anymore, especially when you've got something accommodating people. So I don't really see how all that can be done. What my big beef with this is what's in it for us, really. I know I hear, well, it's going to make people stay here and it'll bring people in. But I've watched this in the 20 years I've lived here. I don't know what you consider me, old, new, or whatever, and I really hate when we put labels on people. I guess I'm an old lady that's only lived here 20 years, so that I don't know if I'm considered old or whatever. I know chronologically I'm pretty old. But that said, in the years I've lived here, in the 20 years I've lived here, when I first lived here, downtown was struggling, not because it was a mess or not because it was bad, but because our Canadian dollar was down to nothing. So, I could go shopping in Canada and my dollar was worth $1.45. As the Canadian dollar increased, the downtown area got better. I mean, more people started shopping here. We're starting to see it, today it's almost 30 cents. My dollar is almost worth $1.30 to the Canadian dollar today, right today. And I kind of saw the graph today because we do have a little money in Canada, so I watched to see how my money's doing, and it kind of has been going up and down for like the last 2 years, but it's not been anywhere close to equal. So that is going to affect our downtown, because nobody's going to come from Canada, or I'm not going to say nobody. it does deter people from coming here when their dollar is worth 30 cents less. So, yeah, people are going to stay here. How many, it's going to all be self-sufficient. So I don't see how anybody on that block's going to be making very much money. There's a cap on people's income. I mean, everybody only has so much disposable income to spend on a vacation. And I don't see any of it coming in. All I see is that like you're saying, well, there's no blight programs. Well, yeah, how can there be blight programs? There's no money going into the general fund to even pay these people to have a blight programs, to even have a, blight officer or whatever, because everything's going into these TIFA districts. Anything that's improving on Parker, Riverside Plaza, Water Street, it's all going into TIFAs. And in many cases, the very people that are paying their taxes that are going into TIFA aren't benefiting them. I don't see Riverside Plaza benefiting from being in a TIFA district. I don't see my dentist across from Food Depot benefiting. I don't see Food Depot for benefiting. It seems the only place that's benefiting from it is the downtown area. That's the biggest problem I have with it. I think it's corporate welfare. I don't believe in giving money to people to come in and do a business in our town. I don't think it's the capital way to do capitalism. I don't believe it doesn't spur competitiveness in our town. I just don't think we should be doing this. I'm totally against it. And if that makes me negative, so what? It's my money, and we pay a lot of taxes, maybe not property taxes, but we sure pay a lot of other taxes, and it all comes through here somehow.
Hi, 240 South Water. Yes, that is very negative, by the way, but beyond the point of, that is very closed-minded to think that all money is going to TIFA, okay? So I support them. Yes, you did. I'm not here to argue with you. Excuse me.
Misquoting my statement.
Excuse me. I let you talk, right? My turn.
But you're misquoting me.
Thank you. But what I'd like to...
TIFA does not cost the city. The money that's going to TIFA is being reimbursed. The money that comes from our tax dollars is being reimbursed to the city.
Exactly.
So that's just a false statement.
That is a false statement, and I have a lot to say because whether they're building a hotel and they're getting TIFA money, what about the other businesses that they brought into this town and didn't borrow a dime that put money into this town? So now they're going to provide a place for someone to stay, nice. Why does everybody have to benefit from it? Why can't our customers benefit from us? Yeah, everybody benefits from it. But to say all the businesses just ask for TIFA, I'm putting $200,000 into my own business. Okay? That ain't from TIFA. That's from these hands. It's called working. Okay? And it's called two hands. I apologize. But it's frustrating with these very closed-minded individuals who have nothing better to do to sit around and document everybody. There's people with hard-working money that work on their hands and knees, scrubbing floors, sanding walls, building, buying stuff through their own loan, not through TIFA, and that shouldn't be out. So TIFA should be supported to help the town. But there is also reasons for TIFA for a level of somebody that needs help or to get something off the ground. And I disagree with the TIFA money getting not used properly, because when I put value in property into my business and I increase the value of my property and the city gets it, that doesn't mean it's just going into TIFA. So it balances itself out, and that's the way the city has to work. So yes, some might go back to TIFA, some might go back to the city. It balances itself out. But to close mind of what is it going to do for us, you got to ask yourself, what are you doing for the city? And that's a good question to ask, besides raising hell, showing up and meeting with negativity all the time. Ask yourself, what are you doing for the city?
James Lalonde, East China, on Bell River Road. I I went to a play here in town the other day, well, about last month, and I met some people at the play from Grosse Pointe. And they had some loafers, and they had money in those loafers, goddamn. I just, they got money. And they came all the way up here to spend it. And I'm happy about that. And then I went and had some ice cream, and I met a guy from Sarnia, and he was spending his hard-earned money here too. So things are working out with all this, all these people coming in and seeing us and spending their, their Queens dollars or their loafer dollars. So I think it's going good stuff for us.
Lynn Zarowski, 2552 North Bell River. I support the development. Just to put into perspective, I have several weddings this year with my children getting married, and my last one is this May, and we're running out of places to stay. If the hotel was open now, we would rent a couple rooms. We've booked the Heather House, we've booked the motel down on River Road, and if this was open, we would book some of these rooms too. As an employer, I see it as a good thing for the community because I used to employ a lot of students and people that were under 18 in my summer rec jobs and those kinds of things, and those jobs have gone away. My program's been cut so much that I only use volunteers. So I'm hoping it's going to be an opportunity for people to have jobs as well. And when we say, who does it draw? It does draw the Canadians over. I think last commission meeting we had some Canadians that got up and stood here and said they enjoy coming to our town and spending money, and they will return over and over again. Many times I have people coming into city office looking for brochures about what they can do as they're on their bike ride across the country or on their next adventure. And if they could stay here too and spend more money and enjoy our city, I think it would be great. So on a positive note, I support it.
Nope. Lady behind you.
I intercepted a pass.
Yeah, you caught the pass.
Intercepted.
Louise Butel, 535 North Main. First of all, as far as the hotel is concerned, I believe that all of us will benefit in a very positive way in that there are going to be people hired, there's going to be more water used, as been pointed out at other meetings. It gives us a way for people to be able to stay more than a few hours. And if you want to compare our city to another city, go over to Canada, Stratford, or go to Chelsea, where here in the United States, where the Purple Rose Theater is, and think about Chelsea, this little town with the Purple Rose Theater, and think about the people that go there and they find places to stay, but with difficulty. And I've been at theater programs there where the people behind me were complaining about the fact that they really wanted to stay longer, but they had to get home. So I think we have to think about things like that. And yes, we're going to disagree about things, but when things raise, everybody a little bit raises up with them, and I think that's what we have to keep our eye on. Thank you.
Becky Lepley, 539 North William. I just like to say how thrilled I am. When I moved to Marine City in 1988, the one thing that was very difficult, because originally I'm from Monongahela, Pennsylvania, and yes, I can spell that and everything else. My family would come up to visit, and there was no place for them to stay. And then when we were doing some work with the churches in the area, the one thing that we did not have, the one thing that we were down in, even as the city developed, was places for people to stay. And a lot of ideas have come forth, and I am so thrilled that one is actually taking root. And just on a personal note, one of the best things that I have ever been in my life as a grandmother. And my grandchildren live in Ann Arbor. And they came to Marine City to be in the children's theater. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. And I forget, I think it was like 17% of the people that come to the theater and come to this area are from Ann Arbor. I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's a lot of good things going on in Ann Arbor, and to have them traveling down here and to know where Marine City is and to talk to these people, I get so excited I could just spit. It's great stuff, and I'm excited about what's happening. Thank you all.
Mayor and Commissioners, Robert Klingler, I'll just say 837 DeGursey. I was asked by a commissioner today, I won't mention by name, just to review the playing field. We had a guitar factory. We built Gibson guitars in Rockford, Illinois. We asked for EDA money. We asked for MEDC money. We had Renee work for us hard, and she gave us a 5-year, which the council voted on as far as a personal property abatement for 5 years. Since then, we've added to 837, we've added 824, 857, 1300, 1295, 374 Bowery. We've added 6 properties in the city itself. I'd just like to remind, on behalf, I had a very nice discussion with a councilman today, commissioner, excuse me. We're all here, we all love Marine City, old and new, as everybody's picked up on. We need to split the pie. I love Tom, I love Kathy, Gary and Laura. They've all done a great job bringing new business into the city. Don't lose sight of the prize, okay? When I came here, I had no money. The Marine City offered me no money to move here. We wanted to come back home. I grew up here. I made it work out. Marine City was gracious enough to give us a 5-year abatement on personal property tax on 1 location. We added 5 more locations. And at that point, I might remind you that we are a city. We're old and new. We need to make things work. It has to be fair. Everybody has to carry a load, okay? Everybody did their share on the music festival last year. Everybody worked, okay? I just want to remind you, the burden isn't on 1 or 2 individuals, it's on everybody. Everybody reaps the benefit, and they all have to sow the field. So let's embrace the new business, and let's make sure that Marine City has enough to pay for a building inspector, a non-compliance inspector, so the gentleman that has been here 20 years that needs to keep his property values intact, everybody's happy. Everybody wants to prosper. So be fair. And that's all I have to say is it's a big pie. We all want it to grow. Let's all be fair about it so that everybody has to carry their own weight. Thank you.
Bill, you've been trying to get up here for a while.
All right, Bill Haas, 203 Pleasant Street. Means I missed a few things when I was up here the first time. The one problem I got with the downtown, which the Chamber of Commerce and everybody, the Burtons with the theaters, Fish Company, no one's got no parking. PA 33 wanted the citizens to pay for their parking. Well, basically I ain't doing that, putting up another shift plus a few extras. And people pretty much said no. This past Saturday, I was down there. I got, I believe it was Jim Jones walking the beat down Main Street. Parked at John Sparaga Deal's little Taj Mahal he's got going on there. I was down talking with the mariner, snapped a couple pictures, caught him coming down the street. 8:30 at night. You know, it's kind of early. I know it's because my truck sign telling people police are scarce, so we're going to throw them down there in the middle of the day or middle of the evening. Normally, from what I understand, the police are supposed to walk downtown more around 12 o'clock, midnight, plus minus. Supposed to go into the establishments that sell alcohol, see if we're serving underage drinkers, take a look if there's any rowdy drunks. So 8:30 at night was a little premature on that to be walking the beat. And like I said, you know, like guitar guy back there, I forget his name, his wife Sarah, I believe, Robert. You know, everybody's got to share. I mean, would it hurt to put the surcharge? You know, like I say, Chamber of Commerce, come up with an idea. You brought it here. Everybody brought it here. The citizens didn't want it. 20-some years ago, I moved in. Last 10 years, it's been garbage. Like, yeah, get the houses fixed. You know, the only people who can make money for this town, hell, they work 2 hours, 3 hours a day, a couple days a week. You know, like I say, progress has been made. She got me excited. I got to come back up here. You know, I couldn't get too out without. But yeah, it's like you know, those people. Anita's, you know, kind of doesn't have parking. They've been here a long time. Garza's got their own parking. Riviera, you know, Sweet Tooth has no parking. You know, would it kill them to put a 25-cent ticket on an ice cream cone? $2.50 on a ticket to go see the show? What's that?
What is your company have to do with commercial district? Are you going to get
Well, commercial district. You're building something, but you ain't.
What the discussion is here?
Well, I heard other discussions go down. So mine's different. Mine's different, Mr. Turner.
I'm just asking a question.
Mine's different, Mr. Turner. You know, weren't you part of the old recall? I don't know how you escaped that recall. To tell you the truth. Now I'm off the git. Yeah, I know, whatever. But like I said, you people brought it here, Chamber of Commerce. That's what brought me to this damn city politic garbage to start with. You know, I want to smack down the citizen. You know, what do? We pay our taxes. We shovel our snow so people don't trip. That's part of the reason this town's never been developed. Talk to some of the old people. We didn't want business down here because of all the trip and falls. You know, you want to do so, you should walk down Market Street. Market Street is pretty much half and half. I'd say there's more 100%ers needing sidewalks than there are the rental properties. But, you know, like I said, you people brought it, you expected us to pay for it. Just ain't happened, you know. Brought you the one. Hell, I walked the city twice. You don't think I found garbage on everybody? Like I say, I come here calm, they say. But they woke me up a little bit. All right, I'm done.
Okay, I guess this is a really good time for me to come up and say that I'm Cheryl Devereaux. I'm the president of the Chamber of Marine City Area Chamber of Commerce. And the reason I'm coming up here is I am supporting the hotel, but I got a little bit different angle. I'm also manager of H&R Block at the Riverside Plaza. I've actually had clients who came from out of town and were looking for places to stay in town while they came. And some of the places we found, they weren't real happy about. Now we've got a couple other choices with the Heather House and Quilting Dreams, but we need more than that. And a lot of my clients come into town because they come from a long ways and spend a lot of money at restaurants, and they're always looking for recommendations. So as another business, I'm also supporting them. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to come address the commission? On the commercial development district for In on Water Street. Seeing Rosalind?
I don't know if the answer to this question, but commercial district then puts it out of the district that it's in a downtown development district, because right now in a downtown development district, I know when I was in the planning board, I called a few lawyers and our former planner and asked questions about that district, and the way the law reads, according to their opinion, and one was Mr. Madden, a lawyer in Southfield. He said that the state of Michigan requires a downtown area. We are to provide the parking. That insulates the growth of the downtown. They don't have to provide their own parking. We can't refuse for them to put a business in there, but we are obligated to provide them parking. That's our obligation. But now if that becomes a commercial district and not part of that same area that it was, then that takes us off the hook. We don't have to provide them parking anymore, then they have to put in their own parking for it. Nobody's going to answer that question, I'm sure, but that is a concern of mine because I just don't know where all these people are going to park. We don't have parking right now. I want to make this clear regarding when I say that I would love for you to put it in writing where we get reimbursed for that, because I see that absolutely nowhere, and I've been studying this for about 15 years. When I say, I'm not saying that nobody's paying any taxes. This is what I'm saying. If a TIFA gets developed in 1987, anything that appreciates from 1987 to 2016 goes into the TIFA district. You capture, the word is right in the documents, the law documents, the word is capture. It captures that revenue and puts it into a TIFA district. And I just can't, so okay, if everything from that, for instance, this inn, because it's in a TIFA district, is going to get all the appreciation of value, if it's all going to be put into TIFA, and we're not getting reimbursed from it for the state of Michigan, I know we're not. No matter what you say, we are not. If all that's going to go into TIFA, which it is, then none of that money is going into the general fund. So realistically, anything that they need, like snow plowing or any of that stuff, is on their streets or police protection or whatever, that's coming out of the general fund. So see the unbalance of who's paying what? I just see a big problem here. And then on top of it, we're going to give them tax abatements and we're going to give them more money. They're already getting all kind of TIFA money. I don't know why they need more. And it has nothing to do with that. Well, somehow, I don't know, somebody comes up here and says, well, you're not working hard enough. Well, I'm working darn hard. My husband's 67 and he's still subbing in an adjunct professor. So don't tell me about not working.
Good. Elaine, did we get some clarification on this TIF and what it is? It's not going into the TIFA. It's a new TIF that's being, would you explain that?
Sam Casey's here and Mike Hilfinger here.
Well, I know, but I mean, we're in the public hearing and we keep getting asked the same question. So it's a new TIF that's being developed to pay the loan off. That's what's happening. And the question you asked about TIFA, yeah, it captures taxes, and it captures taxes that would be going to other taxing jurisdictions, and it brings that money back here. The taxes that come out of the Marine City taxes are being paid back to us in administration fees. You can shake your head all you want, but all you got to do is look at the budget and you'll see where the money's flowing. So anybody that's opposed to us bringing tax money back to our city that would go to other jurisdictions just isn't really understanding the process. Do we have anyone else that wants to come and talk about the commercial redevelopment district? All right, seeing none, we're going to public hearing part B. I got to close the first. Are you sure? You got one public hearing on the agenda with 2 items.
No, there's 2. You got to close this one.
So we'll close this 9A at 8:09. And now we are going to open the public hearing for the commercial facilities exemption certificate on the Inn on Water Street at 8:09. So anyone like to come up and address the commission about the commercial facilities exemption certificates, and please stay on subject. You're welcome to come up to the podium.
I'm still going to go on record one more time, because it's got to be in the minutes. Somebody for history purposes will look at this, maybe. I really am against this. I think this is corporate welfare. This is a huge amount of money we're giving away. I have no problem with somebody coming in and developing everything with their own money. I just don't think they should be getting tax money. Thank you.
Thank you. If anyone else would like to come up? Rebecca?
Becky Lepley, 539 North William. I think one of the things that happens when a commercial facilities exemption certificate is considered is we need to understand the difference between spending money and investing. We're not putting money into this or not receiving money because of this because, we don't care. It's because we believe, and it has been demonstrated, and I'm sure you're going to hear more about this later, it has been demonstrated that this is an investment and that we will get returns in property values, taxes down the road, and that's why a TIFA exists, so that a city can invest in long-term returns. You might not get it back today, but I believe that this is going to pay dividends huge in the future, and that it's a good investment.
Good evening. Kathy Burton, my husband and I have 102 and 358 South Water Street, and now, or 160 and 358 South Water Street, now 102 Bridge Street, which is where we are proposing putting the new hotel we've been talking about. And this has been in the works for 2 years. We talked about this right after we opened the Snug Theater because we felt that there was a need for increased accommodations in the area. And mostly we have received nothing but encouragement and really positive feedback, but there have been some concerns, and I feel that we should address those concerns. The ones that have come up to us directly have been parking issues, and I can't see you guys, there we go. Parking issues, and will it succeed? Those have been the two that we have heard. I know how the TIFA works and how the tax abatement would work, which, believe me, it is not corporate welfare, because what we are talking about is something that you don't currently get unless we build this. The city doesn't really go backwards, but we've got professionals who will address that. So I will speak to the issues that I can address directly. With regard to parking, we're proposing a 24-room inn. We have built into the drawings 35 parking spaces to accommodate 24 guest rooms. In addition, there will be 2 car garages for each of the condominiums on the 3rd floor. So we have addressed our parking needs within this development. As far as will it succeed? A little bit of background. My husband, Tom, has owned and operated Visioneering for 25 years. It was an aerospace tooling company. I joined him after I got my MBA. I went to work for him. He sent me overseas to open a UK facility. We've had a lot of experience with opening new businesses and developing businesses. We sold the company in 2006. We tried retirement. We did fail at that. We didn't do such a great job at retirement. And we got restless, and that's when I suggested we pursue something in my passion, which has always been performing arts. And I also saw a tremendous opportunity in this little town to bring people in. I have a background in tourism as well. I served as the vice president of the Detroit Metro Convention and Visitors Bureau. And we just saw this as such a perfect catalyst for the already renaissance that was underway, and thought this was a perfect little community to do this in. It's been going well. Just this last production, we brought in 2,200 people to see Willy Wonka. And we'd like to think that they spent some money in this town. We know they spent some money at the Sweet Tooth. and they go to dinner. So I do think that there's economic impact just with what we're doing. The theaters are definitely a labor of love. Neither one of us draw a salary out of it. We work it because we love it, and we think it's a terrific thing to bring arts to a community, something that was lacking and something that is needed. So why a hotel? Well, I really believe that this whole region is marketed. This whole riverfront from the southern end of the region all the way up to Port Huron is stunning and it's beautiful. And I think sometimes when we sit and we look out at this every single day, we kind of take for granted what a wonderful thing we have. People love this. They love to come here, and when they don't live near the water, it's really a true tourist attraction. This town, Marine City, really has all the elements of a terrific destination. It's lacking accommodations. We do have great bed and breakfast here. We've got rooms that are, being rented, but we don't have something that can be marketed as a true hotel for the destination. I think the economic impact will be great. It really will. Whenever you see this type of initiative in a town, you see an increase in jobs. That's needed. Job opportunities are needed here. You will see an increase in business revenue for all of the businesses, probably our theaters as well. We probably will get more visitors in. You'll see increased tax revenue immediately from the condominiums when they sell. So that will be short-term, realization. In the long term, whenever you get towns that are experiencing a renaissance like this and you can bring in tourists to visit, they often like what they see and they want to live there. And that's where you really see an increase in tax revenue because the housing values go up. They do not affect the current owner, but when they sell the house, increased tax revenue will be realized. And I think that's just a terrific boon to the city. When I was growing up, we always went up I-75 to northern Michigan. And my parents every summer took us for a week or 2 weeks, and that's where we vacationed. Well, guess where they retired? They retired to northern Michigan. And if we can get people to see this riverfront area as a destination, they're likely going to want to live here, and that is a good thing. That's a positive thing for the community. Tom and I have done our due diligence. We've done a lot of financial analysis. We are business people, and we don't enter into ventures like this lightly. We ran the numbers, and we know that there is a shortfall, and the abatement is necessary in order for us to be successful in this business. We're looking personally at investing $3 million. Another $1 million would be coming from various granting sources, granting bodies. I think that's a big deal for this city. I really do, to have a $4 million investment coming in. We know that we can't cash flow this without an abatement for those first 12 years. And we're not going to venture into something that's not going to be successful. It's not going to set the city back, the abatement. You will still be taking in what you are currently taking in. And I just can't see how this can be a negative thing. I really can't. And I hope that Dan Casey from Economic Development can clear up some of the concerns because I think people are, they have valid concerns. And I'm not at all angry that people are raising concerns. They ought to. They ought to want answers, and they should want to hear, what's going to happen with the parking. We've addressed that. So I think that's what this is about, is to get them answers, and we are here trying to provide that data so that everybody can feel as good about this venture as we do. Thank you.
I see your hand, Rosalie, but I got to make sure everyone gets a chance. Is there anyone else that'd like to come to the podium?
John Sapienza, excuse the way I look, kind of a working guy. I think everybody knows who I am, but I've got about $600,000 or $700,000 invested in this town, and I know the things I don't think have been fair for me in this town the day I got into this town. But, you know, my son brought this state championship home to this town a couple of years ago. I certainly wouldn't give him all the credit. In Marine City, we went as a team. And as a team, we need to apply the rules fairly across everybody, including all the businesses and the grants. They have not been distributed fairly, and the rules have not always applied for some. And it's just not fair. But having a hotel will be the most wonderful thing in this town, and it will definitely pay off. But for the community and for the people that are building it, my thing is, my investment also should be given some kind of, it should be appreciated as well. People are given grant money. If grant monies go to private businesses, then let the citizens be stockholders into that company. That's what I say. You know, grant money should be applied to everybody, to benefit everybody. If it goes into private business, then let the citizens be stockholders into that company. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Casey. I'm the CEO of the Economic Development Alliance. It's good to be back in front of you. It's been a while. But, you know, when money shows up in a community, that's usually when the EDA is there. So we follow the money. I'm making a joke, but this is a really important project for Marine City for a number of reasons. First, I want to touch on some of the issues related to some of the incentives and how they work. And later on, if you have any questions, I know Mike Hilfinger is here, and I'll be here, and I'm happy to help answer any of those. First, this is a $4.2 million project. That's a lot of money. That's a big project for any community, and it certainly is for Marine City. Some of the expenses related to this project: building acquisition, lead and asbestos abatement, demolition, site preparation, site improvements, public infrastructure improvements, architecture and engineering, construction of the building, machinery and equipment to go in the building, interest on a loan from the DEQ, administration, and lastly, contingency, just in case anything goes wrong. When you start tearing apart all of those numbers, what you realize is that in a case like this, there's almost always a financial gap. In this project, the financial gap was $1.3 million. Anytime you take an old building and you buy it, and your intention is to knock that building down, oh, and by the way, it's a brownfield site and you got to clean it up and you got to take out tanks and replace soil that you didn't contaminate. Anytime you have that situation, you're going to have a cost gap in a project. That's why federal, state, and local incentive programs exist, to help the private sector overcome those cost gaps. It's not to build the project for them. There's still an expectation that the investors are going to be putting their own equity and sweat and tears into those projects, right? In this case, they're doing that in spades. So here's some of the funding sources. Owner cash, $1 million equity. Bank loan, $854,000. Right, they're on the hook for that. There's an MDQ grant and loan, $418,000. The Vertons are guaranteeing the loan, not the city, the Vertons. Sale of the condos. They decided to put condos on the upper floor because they knew that they were going to have to generate some revenue to help pay for this. That's why there's condos there, right? It could have been apartments, could have been something else. Condos is what seemed to make the most sense. $1.2 million from the sale of the condos into the project. And lastly, the MEDC's Community Revitalization Program grant, about $745,000. Now, the CRP, let me touch on that just for a second. The state of Michigan budgets anywhere from $30 to $50 million per year to put into projects just like this all over the state. Any of these incentive programs, it doesn't matter whether they're federal, state, or local, they all have eligibility requirements. To even be able to get access to that money, you have to be eligible for it. And then you have to go through the public process to get the money, right? All of that has happened in this project, and it's been a lot of work. It's taken more than a year. It's been a great collaborative project. I'm going to read off the names of some of the organizations that have been involved in this. The City of Marine City, and your Tifa Board, St. Clair County, the county's Brownfield Authority, which I happen to sit on, Strategic Communications, and in particular Mike Hilfinger and the work that he does here, the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, the Michigan Department, or the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, and of course, the EDA. I know Randy Myers wants to talk, so I don't want to steal his thunder. Randy's with the Community Foundation. But I'm going to touch on one thing that he might also want to say, which is this project surfaced 2 years ago as one of the top 10 projects in the county, in the county's Economic Development Strategic Plan, which is called Blue Meets Green. That list was put together first and foremost by all of the communities in the county. They brought their projects forward. These are things we're doing locally. These are things that we're doing that we think have regional impact. Then we brought together a group of 150 people from all over the county to vote on those projects to figure which ones we should be putting our focus and our effort into, and our resources. This was one of the most important projects going through that process. Here we are 2 years later, and we're at the finish line. That's amazing. When you think about it, all the people and all the organizations that had to be part of this to make it happen. And really, kudos to the Vertons, because this is a risk. It's a big risk. They're putting a lot of their own money into this. There's no guarantee of success. There's a good likelihood of success. They've done their homework, but there's no guarantee of it. So they're putting a lot of their own money and time at stake in this project. Now, one thing I want to relate that's similar to this project, and I think it will help in terms of understanding the economic impact. When we were involved in the Convention Center project in Port Huron and the DoubleTree Hotel, similar situation. You have a hotel that's kind of going out of business, and you've got new owners that come in, they have to do a complete rehab. Meanwhile, you got the county wanting to build a convention center. Two forces get together, they say, hey, why don't we attach it to the hotel, right? So we did the EDA did an economic impact of that project. Here's the return, 3 to 1. For every dollar invested, it returns to the community 3 times. For every job that's created at the hotel, it returns to the community 3 times, and it lives on year after year after year. So that's a huge impact to this community. You're talking about $4.2 million that's going to return to the community year after year. People have talked about tourism. People have talked about weddings. This is going to become an institution in Marine City. People that live here are going to need this hotel. They're going to have relatives that are going to come into town for family reunions that are not going to be able to fit in your house. This is going to be something that will be available to them to use. Now, a little bit on the tax abatement and how that works. They use fancy words when they put these things together. Commercial facility exemption certificate and all that. This is basically an industrial tax abatement that's applied to a commercial building. Your community has approved industrial tax abatements before. This is exactly the same thing. It works exactly the same way. There's no difference. What it does is it freezes the assessment on the property from the date you get the certificate from the treasurer. It freezes the assessment on the property, and then all of the investment that goes in to build the hotel and the equipment and everything else, that increased portion of the assessment in the future gets abated at 50%. Okay, so 50%. So part of that money is going to be captured by the Brownfield plan. Some of that money is going to be reimbursed back to the Vertons and back to the other organizations, including the city, that are putting money into the project. It's very straightforward. right? It's confusing when you start thinking about the TIFA and brownfield TIFA and what does all of that mean? I understand that. So I'm going to try to simplify it for you, and then I'm going to wrap up. The TIFA, someone talked about that. In 1978, they eliminated the TIFA program. They didn't eliminate TIFAs, they eliminated the ability to create new TIFAs. That's what they did. And they replaced it with the LDFA Act, the Local Development Finance Authority Act. Exactly the same thing. There were some slight differences. Basically, same program, right? You also have DDAs, Downtown Development Authorities. You have Brownfield Authorities. You have Smart Zones. You have Next Michigan Development Authorities. All of these things, there's an energy authority. It's all the same thing, and it does exactly the same thing. So the way to think about it is this. She talked about the general fund, and she's right about that, right? The general fund is your left pocket. Your TIFA is your right pocket, right? You've got money in both pockets. You still got one city. The difference is which pocket are you pulling the money out of to fund that project, right? TIFAs and LDFAs and brownfield authorities, they're all created for a specific purpose. The TIFA is about infrastructure. Basically, it's about the bones of the downtown area or that area that's been designated, and it's about maintaining it long-term, over 20, 30 years. That's why you're capturing money with your TIFA, because it's a long-term investment. The lady in the black sweater, by the way, very bright. I was impressed. But that is investment that your community is making. That's just a different pocket. It's still your money. You're just not taking it out of the general fund. You're taking it out of a different fund. It's the same thing, right? It serves the strategic purposes of the city. The TIFA is the city, right, with a different name. So that's all that is. Now, in this case, the TIFA is foregoing its capture so that this project can happen with a brownfield plan. And people wonder, can you do that legally? Absolutely. You have DDAs, you have TIFAs, you have LDFAs, you have brownfield authorities that all overlap all over the state of Michigan. And one of them will forego their capture so that the other one can accomplish a mission of the city, right? That's how it works. Hopefully that clears that up a little bit. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to just say is that at the last EDA board meeting, the EDA board passed a resolution in support of this project and asked me to be here tonight to speak on their behalf. So I want you to know that the EDA is fully committed to supporting this project. Blue Meets Green, the countywide strategic plan, and all the people, the leadership council and all the people that are involved in that also are strongly behind this project, obviously. So with that, I want to urge your support of the project this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Klingler.
Mayor, Councilman, I just want to give you a little history. Knowledge is important. Past history is very important. We came here. We had a, excuse me, Bob Klingler, 837 DeGursey, and other properties. We brought a guitar company here. We got a oil and gas company here, 20 wells, gas compression facility, Mishcon, Salesgate, 125 people when we moved here ate at their dinner tables because of us. I asked for MEDA, I asked for EDA, there was no money. It was 09. Okay. What they did give me was any plan improvements. If I bought a $300,000 CNC center and I put it in the building, 50% abatement for 5 years. That was a deal. Since then, I've added 5 new facilities. We feed about 200 families every night. Let's go back. What did Marine City do for me? 0. They let me loan up and get my facilities built, and they didn't give me a penny. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, that's just the way I dug, and we wanted to be here, okay? And the Vertons have a great idea. I'm not against you guys, okay? My leverage was 0. 5 years was the plan. I took a 20-year debenture. I floated the bond. It was all on Bob. I love this city. What happens in 5 years and 1 day if the hotel goes belly up? What happens? Who's stuck? In my case, I'm stuck, okay? And as a city, and as also a friend to the Vertons, 5 years is a long time. If you do a business plan, 5 years is forever. 12 years, don't even ask them for anything. When you do a debenture, it's 20 years, and they want everything, including your future children. And that's what I had to do. I'm happy here, but I also love the city, and I want Christine, and I want Ray, and I want David to be able to have an out of money. I don't want them to be on the hook. I want them to do building inspections, snowplow. I want Mike to work. I want city employees. So all I'm giving you is history, okay? We want the city, we want the hotel, we want to be reasonable, and like I said before, it's a big pie, let's take a piece of the pie, okay? 25% leverage, that's a big leverage. And I know there's all sorts of anachronisms and short-term things, but in the reality, Rockford Carving, Klingler Automatic moved to Marine City with 0 money. But you did give me a 50% 5-year abatement on personal property taxes, and I thank you for that. It helped out, but it didn't make or break my project. My project stood on the merits of the manufacturing company. Okay, I wasn't leveraged 25%. Do you have any questions as far as numbers go while I'm up here? Because I'd love to tell you. And I'm standing here as friend of the Vertons, friend of Main Street. I'm on Parker Street. I'm in the industrial park. But you know what? In the big picture, the numbers, the facts, the dollars, paying your taxes count. And I had a councilman come to me today and said, Bob, stand up there and tell him. Okay, so it's Bob Klingler and general information talking to you, okay? Because I love the city. I want it to survive. I want it to provide services, and I want the hotel. So make it work out, okay? Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, Randy Myers with the Community Foundation of St. Clair County. I actually live in Fort Gratiot, so I'm a Fort Gratiot resident. I want to give you 3 different perspectives tonight and explain why we've been an investor in this project for 2 years. We're part of one of the first investors. I do want to clarify, though, the numbers we've looked at, the financials, with the state of Michigan, with North Star, Marine City is not on the hook for anything. You're not paying for anything. If this project goes bankrupt in 5 years, that man and that woman are paying every penny. You're not liable for anything. So the financials I've looked at, the reason I've signed a check for $50,000 from my company to pay for this project, because you're not on the hook for anything. 2 years ago, this was voted as one of the top projects in the region, as Dan touched on with the blue main screen. I think your acting city manager, or back then was the fire chief, maybe? Police chief, thank you. Police chief came to us and said, can you give us a little bit of money to do a study on the feasibility for a hotel project? Around the same time, we convened a group of about 100 people in Port Huron to ask them to list the 10 most important projects in St. Clair County. In the top 5, a hotel in Marine City. So when your police chief called me, I said, yeah, I'll write you a check for $1,000. We're interested to find out what's going on with the idea of a hotel in Marine City. That was $1,000 from our company. That wasn't $1,000 from your city. That was not tax money. A year ago, as the project progressed, there was a $10,000 shortfall for brownfield work, brownfield assessment or plan. They came back to our company. We wrote a check. I personally signed a check for my company for $10,000 to reimburse that project. This is one of the most important projects in St. Clair County. There are a few catalyst projects happening around this region. A hotel is a catalyst project. The fish company was a catalyst project. You're fortunate to have the Vertons being willing to put their entire financial history and status at risk with this project. We wouldn't be backing them if that wasn't the case. So from a regional project, if you do a Google on Blue Meets Green, it's one of the 10 most important projects in the region, based on input from people that live in St. Clair, Marysville, Port Huron, and Fort Gratiot. From a personal perspective, if my wife and I want to go on a date, 3 weeks ago tonight, actually, it's a rare occurrence, we came down and had dinner at the fish company. Walked in, the fish company was packed, couldn't get a table. You know what the hostess said? Why don't you walk down the street, have a drink at the bar across the street, and wait. We did. We went down there. You know what they said? We love having that overflow business. We're not Canadians bringing this business. We're Fort Gratiot residents coming down here to spend our money. These factors contribute to our foundation, as I said, now being willing to be an investor in this project because of its impact. It's not perfect. The allocation of tax dollars, state tax dollars, which I'm a state taxpayer just like you are, with private money, when their investment, this is a huge opportunity to keep pushing Marine City forward. You're in a unique position with your downtown. Other downtowns around the east coast of Michigan wish they had what you guys have going on. You have a wonderful downtown. Yes, you have parking problems. Yes, there are ripple effects of having a successful downtown, but you have a successful downtown. And the Community Foundation is here because we serve the whole county, and because when we look at allocating our budget this year, this is a project we're willing to put our private money into that'll never come back to us. We're not asking for the city to pay it back. We're not asking for the Burtons to pay it back. I have a check for $50,000 that we will cut for this project because we believe in Marine City. We believe in where you're heading. And we believe in the Burtons being on the hook. So unless someone has seen numbers I haven't seen that caused us to invest so far, you are not on the hook. The Burtons are on the hook. The investors are on the hook. And Dan Casey went through and listed the sources of funds. When we're a small partner, we are not one of the big partners. But we believe in this project, and we're willing to put our private money into the Burtons project. It is a wonderful gift to the city, and I strongly encourage you to support it. Thank you.
What else?
Mike Frank, 211 Pleasant. I'm kind of going to echo what John over there already said. I don't think very many people are against this hotel. I just think they want it done responsibly and they want it done fairly. And, you know, the responsible part, you know, we kind of addressed the parking issues. But the fairness, as John said, he's invested a lot of money in the city. He's been here a long time. I can remember, probably 10, maybe 15 years ago, he started a coffee shop right on the corner of William and Broadway there, just to help kids out, to give them a place to go, to you know, try to stay out of trouble. He wasn't making a dime on that place. He was losing money consistently and constantly. And he didn't get any help. He didn't get any kind of loan in the city's name to him. So I just don't, yeah, and he doesn't have a 50% tax abatement on his properties. The same goes for John Stewart in Anita's. He doesn't have an abatement on his properties. He wasn't asking for help to pay for his improvements on that place. So it's not about being against the hotel. It's about this just being fair across all the board. And if that's fair, then nobody will have an issue with it. And as far as these 4 condos that are being quickly sold to recoup some of this money and potentially offset some of this tax losses or whatever, how this goes, I've heard that 2 of those condos are actually going to be purchased by the Vertons themselves. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I also heard that Mr. Simpson's parents might be purchasing one of those condos. I also don't know if that's true as well. Okay. perfect. I'm glad, because that seems like a conflict of interest a little bit. I don't know. But that's just something that I've heard, and I guess it's just not fair for them to come in here, and to me, what I think is a handout. If you didn't have the extra $1 million to do the hotel, then you shouldn't have done it. And it is risky. It absolutely is risky for people to come up here and say, oh, it's not risky, we need this, we need it, we need it. It's in SCS's report in plain black and white that without this abatement, the hotel most likely wouldn't make it. And even with the abatement, the return will be minimal. That's right in SCS's report. So to sit here and act like, oh, the city is taking no risk by accepting this loan on behalf of the Burtons, I know they're still responsible for it, but it just seems like a lot of risk that the people in Marine City aren't really aware of, and they shouldn't be losing taxes or however all this works. It shouldn't be going on like this. That's all I have to say.
Tom Burton, Water Street. I'm really getting tired of hearing that we're getting something. The city gets taxes on Cahoon's property right now. It's approximately $9,000. If we don't do anything, you're going to continue. We own the property now. If we don't do anything, you'll still get $9,000. If we tear the building down, you'll probably get much less for vacant property. So that's the situation. If we build a hotel, we have the DEQ coming in, and they give millions of dollars out to the state. I would think people would want to get a piece of that money that they're giving out to bring to Marine City. That money will come in and clean up the site. I'm not going to buy a site that's had a garage and a car dealer on since the 20s and take the risks of what we're going to find. The Brownfield Authority is taking that risk, and the DEQ is paying for that. We get a clean site to build on. We're also going to get another grant, which is free money, but it's coming here to Marine City. And that's not costing anybody anything. If it doesn't go here, it'll go to Detroit, and we'll have more housing down there. It's bringing, economical development to Marine City. As far as this abatement, now the hotel, in 12 years, when this thing's all done, Marine City is going to get approximately, it's estimated, $50,000 a year on that hotel. Meanwhile, guess who's paying that tax, that $50,000? The guy who owns the hotel. So for 12 years, we're going to be paying back the Brownfield people. We're going to be paying back with part of that money is going to go back to the TIFA, and it's our money. We're paying it. You guys aren't paying it. We got to pay it to pay back some of these loans. So for understanding, and John says he doesn't get anything. Did you apply for anything? We've worked 2 years to get to the point that we could come and ask for abatement, which is abating our own money to help pay for this thing. So I don't think we're getting something for nothing, and I'm offended. And I've worked, and it's cost us money, and you know what? These grants, they'll give you 20, 25% of your project. That's it. But we got to get the rest of the money. So when everybody else is ready to give money to do something, then you can start bitching. Thank you.
Anybody that hasn't spoken yet, would like to come up?
Joe Moran, 710 Pleasant Street. I have very often spoken before this board in terms of having transparency. You're going to vote on these two issues this evening. It's not a money thing, so you're not required to take a roll call vote, but I would suggest that we do have a roll call vote and each member give a reason for their vote, just for the sake of clarity, so that people know why you are deciding to do what it is you're doing. Thank you.
Well, what I spoke about was fairness in this town, and yes, I did apply for a grant, a lousy $2,000, and I was turned down at the Art Pavilion. You know, I've been through at least 25 businesses in this town. I've spent, like I say, I've got 5 commercial buildings, and paid all my taxes. And yes, I did apply for a grant, and I was turned down. And by the way, you know, the $2,000, what was it for?
No, where did you ask? Who did you ask? Wasn't this for?
The $2,000 business grants that they're,
or a TIFA grant, which is a startup for new businesses. He was told by myself that in order to be considered for the grant, he had to first apply for a business license. In order to apply for a business license, you have to have your business ready to be inspected by the building inspector and the fire chief. And then he fills out the business license, and you know that it comes with for approval. So he wasn't turned down. He was postponed until he was ready to.
So he still has an opportunity to do this?
I still have the application, John. I've got the file.
well, you know, the thing is, when you're not rich, the money comes in handy while you're building your business. You know, I could use the $2,000 to fix the cement, the sidewalk that the city destroyed, because I let them push their snow on my property for the last 15 years. But that's beside the point. The whole thing is, the rehab grant thing is totally ridiculous. Let's tell you guys something. The lot where I'm building the pavilion, that was, my dad purchased to build a hotel. No front page headlines or anything like that. We put our money out and bought the property to build a hotel. And they said, well, Mr. Sapienza, you need 12 parking spots. Okay. So when the property came available, I bought the property next door for $100,000, another $100,000 investment that I could just tear it down for parking. Well, then the property crash came. So I decided, well, you know what? Why not just look for a used building? I tried negotiating to buy Anita's. I thought I'd put a hotel up in Anita's. And you guys started giving grants for rehab. So you gave them $225,000 in grant money to put 6 apartments upstairs. That's why we don't have a hotel in this town, first of all, with no parking requirements. No parking requirements
for clarity,
Anita's.
we did not give out those grants. Where did those grants come from? Now, we just heard from someone that Stewart got nothing. But he did. He got a lot, and he got grants for apartment rehab. But they're not coming from us, John.
I know that. We all
but you
know
come
that.
here like we're the ones that are causing your grief.
The rules were unfair. That's what I said.
We don't make the rules.
But if you guys don't tell them that the rules are unfair, they won't get fixed, okay? I'm done talking. Guys, peace be with you all.
They need to stay on topic.
Thanks, John. All right. Rosalie?
You did give them some of that money, because 50% came from MISTA and 25% came from TIFA, and any
That's still
TIFA,
not-
if
Rosalie,
any
that's
TIFA
TIFA,
budget,
and it was
any
the first
TIFA
year.
budgets, I'm going to, let me finish, any TIFA budget, every couple of weeks, you guys have to approve. No TIFA budget can be approved unless it's approved by the governing board. TIFA is not a board that can do it on its own. It has to be approved by the governing board. So you did approve it. You did. You did approve it. Okay, that's just the truth. And I really do think that in a lot of ways, I understand the frustration and pain Sapienza is going through, because he has worked hard. He's a really hard-working guy. And while he's restoring properties in areas that weren't eligible for that MISTA or the TIFA money, then somebody comes along and rehabs these waterfront properties where they get 3/4 of it in grant money. Boy, would I love to get 3/4 of grant money for anything. And then they're competing against his rentals. they're also competing against other people selling and renting their homes here that aren't eligible for any kind of
What does this
grant
have to
money.
do with commercial
So
facilities
it's
exemption
true, it isn't fair,
certificate?
that is true. I want to say something, regarding this, like we say, we're not at any risk putting this up here. And the only people that are at risk is the Burtons if it fails. But that's not true, because if the Burtons fail and that building's empty, then it sits there and we're the one that have to live with it. They don't even live here in town, so, they just go back to, and I hope it doesn't fail. But I know this, that the Thomas Edison Inn that we're talking about, and my husband and I go there quite often because it's near our church. This hat even came from the gift shop at the Thomas Edison Inn. On Valentine's Day, we went there, we took my niece and nephew for lunch, and I thought, oh my gosh, Valentine's Day, this place is going to be packed. When we got there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there were 4 people in the restaurant, and when we left, we were the only ones there, and the restaurant was empty, and they were saying, we did all kind of advertising, we can't believe that nobody's here on Valentine's Day on a Sunday. So they're having their problems up there. So, and we're on the county's on the hook for that too. This is not without gambles at all for our city, even if the Burtons are putting up this money, and it doesn't matter how much they're offended by it, because if something doesn't work out and they move out of town, then we're stuck with that building there. And I do believe that, I think if people want to develop their own business, then they should pay for it themselves. And I want to make a correction to one of the things that the man said. He was saying in 1978, TIFAs weren't allowed by the federal government. The only thing is, there is one thing he doesn't realize. That particular area is in a TIFA 240-180. And by 1990, the state of Michigan would not allow those TIFAs. I know there's a lot of TIFAs available. I know there's brownfield development. I know there's DDAs, downtown development areas. I know there's a lot of different ones that are, I think it's 7. There's 7 available in the state of Michigan. But the TIFA that they're in is no longer available in this state. And so it is no longer available. But we've just got so many areas that are in TIFAs. I just cannot see how this all works out. And if all this is working, if we're bringing in so much money and everything's so good here, then when I went to the budget hearings last week on Tuesday and Wednesday, why is it that I kept hearing from everybody that, not much tax revenue's coming in, taxes really aren't going up, and that's why you wanted to raise our taxes. And of course that didn't go through because people voted it down. But if it's working so well, why do you need that extra? Why did we need that extra money that you put on us? And why are we having so much trouble if everything's going so well and everything's developing and people are paying more for things? If that was working, then we wouldn't be in the problems we are at budget hearing
Would
times.
you like an answer to that, Rosalie?
Yeah.
It's called Proposition A and the Hadley Amendment that restricts any money tax increases we get to the rate of inflation, which is nearly 0 for the last 2 years. So things, are getting better, but yes, we do not see increased revenues from it because of Michigan's tax laws, which are, frankly, I think, broken.
It's also a loss of over
I never
$500 million in state revenue sharing.
Well, you wanted to know why things aren't getting better, and I just explained it to you, because things could go up 100%, but if the rate of inflation is at 0.01, is that what our rate of inflation is right now? Something like that? That's all we get in the way of increases. So that's why you're going to see the state equalized values going up and the taxable values staying stagnant, and that's not going to change until the property sells and it's uncapped. That's why the revenues aren't increasing. Is there anyone else that would like to come to the podium?
Relative to what?
I need to address the very disrespectful way Mr. Burton looked at John and asked him, did you apply for any grants?
No, actually, you need to address this board on this issue.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I am. So what I want to say is, it's very easy to apply for grants when they're being paid for through TIFA money. TIFA pays $5,000 a month for the grant writing that has been focused on their hotel. So to sit here and say to somebody else that's been a longtime Marine City resident, well, what grants did you apply for? Well, he doesn't have $5,000 a month in his back pocket to apply for those grants, like the grant writers that are working for the Verdens.
I think the point is, where did he go and who did he ask? And like you said, John Stewart received nothing.
He received a lot of tax money.
I apologize for that.
It's called apartment rehab, it's called the
But I will
facade
say
program.
that, that wasn't in the paper, it isn't all over the place like this is
Oh, it was
now.
too, they had ribbon cuttings, it was everywhere.
Okay, that's besides the point.
Well, no, that's exactly the point.
Tifa is paying $5,000.
You just don't want to hear the facts, do you?
What?
You just don't want to hear the facts.
No, I want the facts to be out there.
Then you
I want
need to
not
listen.
these half-truths and acting like the $5,000 a month that's going to this grant writing services was for City Hall. They haven't found, excuse me, can I, you're asking a question. Can I
Let's get
finish
back
my
in order
statement,
here.
please? I feel it's completely inappropriate to act like that $5,000 is going towards what it was meant to go towards, City Hall. That's why you guys hired, that's why Tifa hired that company, to find money for City Hall. And they haven't found one dime for City Hall.
You're wrong.
Okay, well,
Well,
go ahead.
you're opposed to City Hall though, right?
No, go ahead. Well, how am I wrong?
They didn't find one dime for City Hall.
Commercial facilities.
No, I have the video of the Tifa board admitting that they didn't find one dime for City Hall.
Commercial facilities exemption certificate.
Yeah, let's
So
get back on point, please. We're talking about the commercial facilities exemption certificate.
I know.
So please
And
talk
I feel
about
it's
that.
inappropriate to approve something like that when these very nice people, I have no problem with them personally, but when they stand at this podium and look at our long-term residents and say things like disrespectful like that about grant writing, when their grant writings be paid for by our tax dollars, it's inappropriate.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to come to the podium? All right. So I'm going to close the public hearing at 9:01. Moving on to unfinished business. We got item 10A, the Teen Center resolution.
I make a motion to approve the resolution to receive and hold property from the River Rec Teen Zone to create a safe and fun environment for teens to go in order to keep off the streets. Resolution number 14-2016.
Support.
Motion support. Any discussion on this resolution?
So this is strictly just to keep a line item for the teen center money, correct?
That also creates a path too, if something happens down the road, it's a way to dissolve that after 5 years, and it takes care of a lot of loose ends in regards to that.
It's a resolution to establish that line item fund to manage the funds. And in the resolution, there are some specifics about what happens to the money if it doesn't get used.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, board. The resolution is passed. Moving on to item 10B, which is the beach fundraiser resolution, which is basically much of the same thing. We're just creating a path for the money.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 0152016, which is to receive and hold property from the beach fundraiser to make renovations and hire personnel for the Marine City Public Beach.
Second. Okay, so we have motion and support. I'd just like to point out that we were accepted for the patronicity matching funds. So it's going to be a match up to 10,000. So if they earn the 10,000, patronicity will contribute another 10,000 to the beach fund. So that's really good news. Any other discussion on this?
Just a quick one. You're still going to be the administrator for this fund?
For the patronicity, yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution passes. On to item 10C, which is the Water Street trees. I guess a continuation of our discussion. I don't know if anybody's got anything new to add to that. Do you have anything new to add to that?
I'd just like to comment based upon the information that I've found in speaking with MSU Extension. There really isn't any clear direction about any perfect tree that fits the scenario. It really is something that is a decision by the city. there were a couple trees that seemed to keep being reoccurring in some of the information that I saw. The serviceberry and the Japanese lilac tree. I don't know much about the trees. I haven't done much research on those trees. I don't really have a specific answer what to do about the trees at this point. I would recommend maybe we can table this given the lengthy agenda and revisit this. I can get some more information on those two specific trees if you're interested in looking at those options.
I did contact the Marine City Garden Club, and I talked to the president, Judy Jovan. She volunteered to do a little research for us.
Great.
Commissioner Clevitt.
Rather than table this, I would rather see us let the superintendent of the DPW, Mike Ittrich, go ahead and work with Judy Jobin. I think I recommended this at the last meeting, so they can move ahead. I mean, we keep waiting and waiting and waiting. We're not going to be able to put those trees in this year because they're not going to be able to get enough growth system. But, you know, I commend Commissioner Hendricks for bringing up the issue of the pear, the Cleveland pear, because, you know, the research does show that that is the tree that we don't want, and if we hadn't stopped the process, then we may have gone forward with the tree that we don't want. But we certainly have lots of information now, and with the Mike working with Judy Jobin in the garden, I think they should be able to make a decision on what, at this point, trees would be best for the city. I think they've gotten lots of information at this point.
I'd still like to see it brought back, though, for approval, so we know what we're getting into.
Well, the thing, you know, the pears, I've been paying a lot of attention. I work in Oakland County mostly, and they're almost ubiquitous in Oakland County. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. And they just, on Greenfield going on in Detroit, they must have just planted 1,000 of them. So, I don't know, it's a nice tree. It seems like all the other communities are using them. What are the majority of the trees up and down Water Street that are left? Aren't those pears?
Bradford.
Those are Bradfords?
Yeah. I talked to the MSU extension. I've had some contact with them, and they are definitely not recommending them, and they said they are having meetings on those particular trees, and they realize everybody's been using them, but you know, I would still stay away from them, to tell you the truth, based on all the information.
You know, the one that seemed to come a lot was that Japanese lilac tree.
Yep.
It seemed to be salt resistant, disease resistant. Looks like it has a really nice grow pattern and flower. I mean, that looks like a decent option, possibly.
Yeah. You always want a couple, though, too, just in the event of a blight. So they also recommend that you try to come up with several so that you're not planting the same one, so that we don't get into that issue where it kills them all off.
From the Garner Exchange, if you looked in your packet, it seemed like they were pushing the service berries, which we have had, and I don't know that I would recommend that. I mean, it's a nice hardy tree, but they're pretty messy.
And that was one of the concerns that MSU Extension.
And then you've got to put up with the birds and the results of the birds eating the berries, and they can be quite a mess.
Mm-hmm. As I said, there is not a perfect fit tree.
No, but I think
really
we
agree on.
have to come to a conclusion somehow. We can't just keep putting this off. We need to get some trees planted this year. So how are we going to make that happen? Commissioner Levitt?
Well, I think we need to, we have some experts in our community, AKA the Marine City Garden Club, who has had some input and has worked with Mike, you know, discussing this problem. And I think at this point, we need to stop being a, you know, not a penny pincher, but micromanaging Mike's department in terms of deciding what trees. We've given our ideas, we've given our suggestion, and none of us here are experts in arboralia, arbors, anyway, trees. I can't come up with a word right now. Arboratory, anyway.
Oh, there's a new one. It's called urban forestry.
So again, I really, I feel that we should rely at this point on our department head and the committees in this city, that this is what they're there for, and let's get this on the road, not beat it to death.
Commissioner Henry?
I think we need a proposal too from Mike. He wanted to put in less trees. We need to figure out where they're gonna go. We need to figure out what trees, if we can come up with multiples. We need to figure out if people want, a business wants them or not. So I think all that has to be done, so maybe you put together a proposal, bring it back, and we try, and you don't, just because we miss the spring for the planning, fall's the next good time. In fact, you get better deals on them in the fall. So there's no problem with us making it this year.
Mike, I'll ask you, do you have the time to do that?
Excuse me, I can put together proposals by next commission meeting.
Okay. Have you had any
Give you
other
an assignment.
Have you ever had any other feedback on trees and species?
Gordon Phelan's got me a whole book of trees and everything else, and we've been looking at those. But I want to talk to Judy also. I've sit down with her.
She doesn't have any recommendations right now. I mean, I told her about the situation, and she is a master gardener. Has access to the exchange and all that stuff, but she really didn't have a recommendation. She just volunteered to do some research.
Okay.
So, do we have somebody going to make a resolution? Are we going to table this until the next meeting?
I'd recommend that we table this pending Mike's investigation and what he brings back to us till hopefully the next meeting. How's that?
Support. We got a motion to support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay. All right. All right, moving on to new business. We have 11A, which is request for financial support from the Council on Aging. I think we did this last year, and if my memory serves me right, we offered $500.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Lori Adair, and I'm the Center Supervisor at the Washington Life Center. Council on Aging, we're located at 403 North Mary Street. We're a proud member of the community. I guess we're part of the old and the new. We're with the greatest generation and the baby boomers. So just a little background on the Council on Aging. We're a nonprofit corporation created to provide programs and services to the seniors of this county, and the mission is to keep seniors living independently in their homes for as long as possible, which will enhance their lives, and that no senior in the county will ever feel that he or she is left alone. The Council on Aging relies heavily on the senior citizens millage that was passed generously by the community residents, federal and state and local funding, as well as donations and membership dues. So again, I am here again this year to ask you to consider another appropriation to help defray our expenses at the Washington Life Center. We appreciated your generous donation last year. Just a little bit more information about our center. We served just over about 4,000 seniors last year. It increases every year as our baby boomers now are coming into the center. And we accounted for 93,620 program units last fiscal year, which was an increase from the previous year when I was here last year of over 5,000 more program units. So program unit is every time somebody comes into our building, we account for that. So they sign in, if they're coming in for lunch, if they go in our gift shop, if they play pickleball, if they do a pottery class, any of the activities, we count all of that. And that's where this information is gathered from. We have a full daily schedule. If you drive by our building pretty much every day, you're going to see the parking lot is pretty full. There's always something going on every day. The seniors are really having a lot of fun, and they're learning new things, and we learn from them as well. Some of the programs that could benefit from your appropriation, we have a pottery class that started last year. We'll have it again actually at the end of the month. There are expenses that will incur for this program, such as pottery supplies like the clay, glazes and tools. The seniors do pay a orientation fee, and then it's a $1 donation for every time they come for that. Upcoming also, we have our senior prom, our 31st annual senior prom. It's on May 20th. Everyone is welcome. We're going to crown a king and queen that evening too. It could be you. So some of the expenses for the prom night would be their sashes for the king and queen, flowers for the king and queen, and also decorations, and it's a Hollywood themed night. Also, we have a new exercise class that uses stability balls. So we're looking into an interlocking floor mat for safety purposes, obviously, so there aren't any injuries. And then also our pickleball program continues to grow. That's a very popular program with us, and it gets a lot of wear and tear, so we're looking into purchasing a new net and paddles and the balls that we use. So also, I think we sent you a letter. We have an upcoming Veterans Museum dedication that's coming up on the 26th. The public is welcome to come. It's going to be named the Jack Morris Veterans Museum. He is was in the Marines. He's a Purple Heart recipient, and we're honored to have the museum named after him. Does anybody have any questions? Kind of rattled on pretty quick here, so sorry about that.
I thought you were going to say he was a pitcher for a minute.
Well, let me tell you a little story about him. We do get that a lot, but he did try out for a professional baseball team. I'm not sure which one, but he came back from serving the country for World War II, and he was told at the time he was too old to try out. And he was only 21 years old when he came back, and he was told he was too old to try out for the professional baseball team. And he was also a Marine that worked with the Navajo Indians, the code talkers, so he guarded the Navajo Indian. So that was really very interesting to learn about that. So again, on behalf of the seniors in Marine City, thank you. We're requesting again for an appropriation to help with the costs that we have for our programs at the center.
Commissioner Avery.
My question has nothing to do with the value of the fine work that's done there, but we just approved a budget. Where does this show up in the budget? That's the only thing.
It usually comes out of the rec department.
Well, was it in there? We had a lot with, if it is, that's fine. I just don't remember any discussion of these, and we didn't have
I can address
extra.
It is.
I mean, it's not a big thing, but we fought through this budget.
It is something that's typically taken out of the recreation, the community promotions line item. There's approximately $9,300 left at the moment. Normally, this is something that we would like to see pre-planned for the budget. Obviously, we're a little late in the year here for this, but as I said, there are still funds available. For future requests, it might be more beneficial for the city to take this into consideration if it's something that's done while we're working on our budgets for...
What's the dates or timeframes when you're working on?
We actually just finished up our budget workshops, so...
Early March.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so if I were to send a request, probably January, February timeframe, that would be better for you?
That way it's
Okay.
something that we can actually budget for.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of determining if we have enough money in the budget for it.
Okay.
So does anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we match our support level for last year, and I believe the year before as well, of a $500 donation to the St. Clair Council on Aging Washington Life Center.
Support.
New motion, support. Any discussion? We have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Commissioner Melly.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Scarpelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 11B, which is bid recommendations for the library air conditioner.
I make a motion that we okay the replacement unit using the funds of $29.65.
Support.
We have motion and support. Any discussion or questions? Mike, are they replacing the indoor coil as well, or is it just the outdoor unit?
The whole thing, indoor and outside.
That's a very good price. Commissioner Avery?
Yeah, I think it's important that we mention that this is a competitive bid that we received here, and we're accepting the best bid, since we had some that we were trying to waive that on other items.
I believe that bid comes from a local company,
Yes.
Hopkins.
Yes, so, just for information there.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Commissioner Melly.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to item 11C, which is bid recommendations for the DPW roof.
I make a recommendation that the TMG services in Marine City be approved for the replacement of the roof of the DPW in the amount of $8,900, keeping $600 in reserve.
Support.
We have motion support. Any discussion? Yeah, I mean, that bid's gonna do everything you need done?
Yes.
I'd just like to point out, I think it's great that we have a couple local companies winning these bids. That's excellent. Commissioner Simpson?
Yeah, and just noting that it's not just, sometimes when you bid out something, people kind of win within dollars. These bids have come in quite favorable. This one's over $1,000 to the next lowest bid, so people are really trying to be competitive, which makes our tax dollars and the money we spend go much farther.
Thanks, Ray. Commissioner Turner?
Also to point out that this was a budgeted item.
Yes.
All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Commissioner Melly.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to item 11D, which is waive competitive bidding for crack sealant.
I make a motion that we allow to waive the competitive bidding for the 2016 crack sealing program according to the specifications given here by DPW Superintendent Ittrich, that he can get it for 90 cents a pound, which compares very favorably to the 93 and 98 cents otherwise.
We have motion support. Any other discussion on crack sealant? Commissioner Simpson?
Just for folks who might have had the benefit of seeing this, they do beat everyone's cost per unit. They also allow free rental of the crack sealant machine, which is quite the expense. And normally, I'm not, in general terms, a fan of waiving competitive bidding, but the St. Clair County Road Commission, Mr. Interest indicates that NHMS was their lowest bidder. So at some point, they became quite favorable into a countywide bid process, which would be very similar to something that we would go through. So.
Yeah, I'd just like to remind everybody, this has to be unanimous vote for this to actually pass. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Melly.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to item 11E, which is waive competitive bidding for X-Mark lawnmower. I believe this is the lawnmower from this budget, not the one we were talking about on the next budget that you graciously passed on.
This budget.
I make a motion that the competitive bidding process be waived for the purchase of the new X-Mark lawnmower at the price of $8,071.
Support.
Good motion, support. Any discussion on the waiving of the bid for the lawnmower?
I'd just like to mention about this, that he did solicit and get 3 quotes. They were all almost exactly the same. bidding something like this is very unusual because it is actually just a purchase of a piece of equipment. I'm not sure how favorable the companies would be to sending a sealed bid on something like this when it's actually just kind of a purchase of a large machinery.
Anything else? Commissioner Simpson?
And again, it's, nice to see it's more of a local company as opposed to another bid that was from Sandusky and one from Macomb County. So once again, it's nice to keep the money in our network.
You spend it at home, it stays at home, right?
That's right.
And it's a savings of $3,000 over the list price, so they're giving them a good price.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Commissioner Melly.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I know we waive bidding, but don't we have to then purchase?
That's already in the budget and been approved. Do we have to?
Don't we still have to then purchase
Because it's
it?
over 5,000?
I mean, usually we waive the bidding and then we purchase, no?
I thought that was part of the motion, it was to waive
No.
and purchase, no?
Well, it was to waive the bidding.
Right, she is correct. That's how we typically do it.
Okay, let's have another motion to purchase then.
I make a motion that we purchase the Exmark lawnmower for the price of $8,071.
Support. Any discussion on that? No, seeing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Commissioner Melly.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to item 11F, which is donation of park benches discussion. I don't see anything in the material in the packet, so it's, come on up.
Oh, I get to walk.
You're responsible for about half of our agenda here tonight.
All right, come on. I'm waiting your thing right now.
And we appreciate it.
Just the donation for the park benches. A lot of people donate park benches, and they usually pick a spot, someplace by a sidewalk, we put them in. I know you guys want us to come to you every time we put something in the park, but is this something I need to come to you with every time?
The location.
Well, they're gonna be in the parks, like, we got two that's gonna go in the beach right now to replace the other ones in the beach. Another one's gonna go when we get where the, if it happens, where the pavilion is gonna go in that park, another one's gonna go in that park.
So relative to Mike's question. We have a Parks and Rec director, right? Shouldn't he be contacting Parks and Rec?
Well, I'd say DPW would be the one, and the
No, I
city
mean
manager.
relative to something going into a park.
That's.
Why does this board need to approve it, is my question.
That's what he's
Because you asked
asking.
me to come back to this board.
I'm saying, I don't think we need to.
Well, we had issues in the past, so we had asked John a long time ago to create an issue so that if somebody wanted to do something in the park, they would go to Lynn, Lynn would
Right.
work with Mike, and then they would bring it here, proposal, so we make sure there was no issue. That's why.
Yeah, it's accurate, because we've also had some folks, like Maritime Days Committee and others have expressed, an overall review of
Well,
that, because, one decision is, it's a trickle down, it's not just one, but
Sure.
it's the cumulative nature, and that's my recollection of how we came up with that process.
No, I understand what Commissioner Hendrick is
These aren't
saying.
going in the middle of the parks, though. These are going next to the sidewalks.
That started with the Adopt a Park program, when people wanted to adopt parks and do improvements, which
Exactly.
was another great thing.
Exactly.
And I don't, at that, if they're wanting to do something major, I can understand where this commission would want to have a say in it.
You're talking
But we
18
have,
inches
we
off
have
the sidewalk.
a person that's in charge of the parks.
Well, why don't you make a motion?
I'm just saying.
No, I mean.
I'm
so we
trying to
can-
answer Mike's question.
Well, but we need to give a vote to give him direction. So what I'm saying is, let's make a motion and so we can move on.
I think
For the benches. But what about the next time Mike has a question? Should he have to come to us every
Yeah,
time?
Depends on the issue.
That's what I'm here for, because I need clarification. I mean,
And I
these-
appreciate that.
These park benches, usually what we do is I go out with the family, find a spot where they want it, decide whether or not, if it's in that location, it's a good location or not, if it's gonna be over top of utilities, and we could try to keep them next to the sidewalks. So they bothering nobody.
So common sense prevails.
Do
Exactly.
you also talk with, I mean, the issue came up because of the maritime days when they put in their equipment and stuff.
That has nothing to do with maritime days, to block them coming in or anything like that. There's plenty of room. These benches are only, you can put your feet on the cement, the sidewalk.
Well, just for the record, Maritime Days doesn't own the parks.
I understand
and they-
that, but
Can I
they
finish,
asked
please?
us.
And they show up one weekend out of the year. So for them to start dictating what goes in a park, I don't think is right.
Well, personally, I would be willing to give you the discretion to make that decision.
Common
Amen.
sense.
That's what it is.
I
make a
mean,
motion
if we're
that we
talking-
give Mike
If we're
the
talking about park benches, I think you're more than capable of making that decision.
Absolutely.
If I could maybe, a little information here. We've had quite a few things going on in the parks and people with a lot of requests recently. The pavilion, the Titanic Memorial.
But we're talking about the
um,
park benches.
Exactly, but park benches, you're putting in cement, concrete for supporting them. And I know our parks have been getting a lot more things in them. And I think we were just kind of looking, as a team for some direction from commission about really where do you draw the line between where we have the oversight to be able to use our own judgment and do it versus when commission wants to be able to have the oversight and approval.
If we're talking about park benches, I would give you the discretion, because that's what, you're the city manager, you're in charge of day-to-day, he's DPW director. I don't think it's something that the commission needs to get involved in every time. If you don't think we have a place for it or it's appropriate, then just say no.
And Mike and I work together on this. When there's something comes up, we work together on it, so there's good communication between both ends.
So, do we need would you like a motion of some type, or
I don't think
is
so.
this discussion good enough?
Yeah, that's all we wanted was just
So
some
if it's-
discussion and clarification.
Bigger than that, then I guess you,
Anything bigger, I'll come to you guys.
all right,
Okay?
sounds good, thanks. Mike.
The next pavilion. I'll come to you guys.
When they donate the benches, I know there's places along the sidewalks on Parker and stuff that could probably use some seating.
We're heading this way too.
All right. Because we probably don't have room for everything in the parks downtown. Moving on to item 11G, which is brick paver fundraiser for historic City Hall.
Amy's gonna.
Hi, I'm Amy Bourne. I live at 201 North Main, and I am the secretary for the Friends of City Hall. I'm seeking approval to proceed with our plan to hire Downriver Lawn and Landscape to install brick pavers at the historic City Hall on the east lawn around the rudder and the capstan fixtures. The brick pavers, this project will provide a fundraising opportunity for Friends of City Hall, as we intend to sell engraved brick pavers. And the ultimate goal of Friends of City Hall is to raise money to restore historic City Hall and have it put back into use. There's plans, there's a drawing for what it will look like. And also samples of engraving done by the company we intend to go through. And then this is an example brick that we'll be using. And it's going to cost $2,880. It'll be paid for by Friends of City Hall, and it'll be maintained by Friends of City Hall.
So how do people contact you if they want a brick?
I think our initial plan is to have something set up at the Heritage Days event, maybe at Maritime Days, whenever we have the building open for tours.
Okay.
We'll have advertising for the bricks.
Any other questions?
What do you call it, the turnstile or whatever that?
Capstan.
A capstan.
Capstan. Does that have some type of foundation under it?
The capstan, I don't think it does.
So it's
The rudder
basically just sitting
does.
on the ground, eh?
Right.
Okay.
But Downriver Lawn and Landscape came out and took measurements and didn't have concerns about it not having a foundation.
Okay.
Well, I think it'd be really nice to have the pavers around those items, because if you get up next to them and you read the plaques, and right now you're standing on the grass, so I think it's an excellent idea, and I give you my support 100%. Commissioner Simpson?
Yeah, I agree. It's always, it makes that more of an attraction. It's a general improvement to that park. I think it also complements the bandstand that's there, and also the little development at the corner with the bench and the plantings and that. So I think it sort of rings true. It sort of helps follow that theme along. And, I really appreciate the Friends of City Hall, address the maintenance aspect. That's oftentimes one of the concerns that when people bring us projects, that we're sort of left on the hook with that. And I think that's an important distinction, that the group is proactive in maintaining that.
And I'd like to commend Friends of City Hall for their stewardship of that historic building and the opportunity to raise some money for it.
I think you should be forming a motion right now.
You want a motion?
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion to approve. No, he's teasing me.
There'll be discussion after this.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, so a motion to support, Commissioner Mellon?
I wanted to know, how much are you talking per brick? If you got a double brick,
Yeah, it
they
varies
put
on
in
the size
family's
of the
name.
brick. The smallest brick like this is $50.
Gotcha.
So if they wanted a double brick or family,
Yeah,
whatever,
that
so
would
you're looking at
be
$100,
Yes.
basically?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You gonna put your order in?
Well, let's see.
Get it done. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 11H, which is the commercial redevelopment district
I make a
formation.
I make a motion to approve the resolution number 016-2016 to establish a commercial redevelopment district.
Support.
We have motion support. We have Mr. Dan Casey and Mr. Randy Myers here tonight. Gentlemen, please come to the podium.
Randy.
Oh, Randy left, so it's all on you.
Oh, no.
It's all on you. So if any questions, this would be the gentleman to ask. Commissioner Hendrick?
All right, I'm sorry, I know it's late, but I'm sorry, I got a lot of questions on this one.
Okay.
I guess I'd like to, most of this discussion, if we could, be as much public record as possible, because I think it's important to capture the questions, answers, and discussion. I'd also like to add that I'm fully supportive of the hotel. I hope it does well. I hope it's going to be a good thing. But the only portion I'm not supportive of, the subsidizing of the cleanup and the abatement. So I looked at some information from the Mackinac Center on Public Policy on Business Tax Credits, and it says 4 reasons that they don't work. First, government has nothing to give anyone it doesn't take from somebody else. At best, these programs just redistribute the income. Secondly, doing that costs money. The staff amounts to tens of millions of dollars annually. God, it's getting late. Third, it also misallocates scarce resources. And lastly, bureaucrats are inherently inclined to make decisions based on political rather than economic factors. That's a recipe for bad performance. So the solution is quite simple, just say no, and there's no proof that they're of any value to the community. So here starts of some of my questions. There's one parcel in here, and I'm going to assume that this has been taken care of, and it's the parcel. I don't know if I could show you. It's next to the house on the corner, the big white house. It's right on Bridge Street, and it's the last one over there. And I know there was an issue with the description of that property because it was found that part of that belongs to that homeowner. Is the correct description on these documents, is what I'm asking, that was resolved because there's a pie-shaped piece that belongs to him that was found out? Anybody know?
Yeah, it was. We have title insurance.
So the descriptions that are in these documents are the current description with that piece removed?
So,
Okay, so that's the first question. I noticed in the back of this big brownfield packet that two of the Tifa board people abstained. Is there a reason why they did that? I thought you'd only could abstain if you had a vested interest.
That's general.
Becky Bryson works for us.
She does house managing at the theater, so she abstains.
Is that?
I think that means.
Okay.
Who was the other one, Babchick?
Babchick and Bryson?
He's
They both do?
he's actually on the Brownfield board.
Oh, okay, so that answers that question. All right, there are a number of missing attachments I noticed in that big brownfield packet. If we could get those, I'd like to see that. Looking at the TIFA, through this budget year, it's almost broke. What happens if there's not enough money in there? How does that, because I know, so part of the clarification for everybody is, yes, we're going to keep getting the tax money from the current property in there, but the TIFA money is going to go towards paying off the brownfield, correct?
Mike Hilfinger, SCS. Can you state the question again? I'm trying to.
If the TIFA doesn't have enough money, how does it work to pay off the debt for the brownfield?
I mean, if the brownfield TIF does not have enough money to pay back, and basically what happens is that the Verdens are on the hook because they've guaranteed the loan.
Let's see. Okay. I know a common argument made in favor of abatements in the TIF is that currently cost-free because the project would not occur, but for the subsidy. Two flaws in the argument. Vast majority of companies' subsidies don't actually determine where they will expand or relocate based on that, and there's no such thing as free growth. If a company's not paying their fair share of the costs and services, the government must either raise everyone else's tax rates and fees or reduce the quality of services or some of both. It creates an unfair playing field for other businesses. In this agreement for the commercial redevelopment, you have mixed use, you have condos on top, and then you have the hotel. Are the condos included in the 50% tax abatement?
No. They're not eligible under the tax abatement.
I just wanted to make sure because I see them in the brownfield, and I know that's separate. I see them in that document, but I wanted to make sure that that wasn't covered in here.
Yeah, that's actually one of the benefits of this project is that the condos will generate taxes to the taxing jurisdictions.
Okay, so that's another question. I'm trying to get these questions out so everybody kind of understands some of this stuff here. Okay, so if this goes in, the hotel goes in, and like somebody mentioned, after 5 years, if the business fails, what happens to this contract?
Which contract?
The commercial redevelopment or both, I guess.
The tax abatement, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, the tax abatement would be terminated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking these for everybody's benefit, okay? You know, I know some of the answers because I've got a big book here on this whole project, but we need to make sure that everybody understands how this is going to work.
Yeah, so the tax abatement gets terminated and they could be on the hook for repaying back taxes if that was a condition that was added into a development agreement. Quite typically, that's what we call a clawback.
Yes.
That usually is in these agreements.
But I didn't see a whole lot of, that was going to be another question, so I didn't see a whole lot in there. It said that they would use basically local people if possible, but there's no real good clauses in there to say that we're going to use local.
Well, I think that it's difficult to make the commitment. You can make the general statement and make your best effort, but until you actually get pricing, I think it's difficult to say that.
Okay. After several years, what if the property's sold? What happens to the agreements and the contracts in that instance?
They transfer to the new ownership, including the development agreement.
They transfer to the what?
They transfer to the new ownership, the new owners.
So they are transferable. That was the, okay. I guess the thing is what the taxpayers want to know is, because they're kind of on the hook for this for 12 to 30 years, 30 years for the TIFA and 12 years for the abatement, okay? So in a way, you know, I think all taxpayers would like a tax break, And we've been trying to raise taxes, but now we're going to give a big chunk away. So it said, like somebody else mentioned, I read the same thing in the document. It said that without the abatement, the project will not have an adequate return for development, and with the abatement, the return is still minimal. So does this really sound really a good deal?
The Verdens are taking the risk. They've done their research, and they think that, and they're better at running businesses than I am. I'm just helping them. We help them get financing for it. But they've done all the research and the homework, and we've had feasibility studies done, and we think that it will be successful.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the abatement portion.
What about? I don't understand the
Well,
question.
whether they get it or not, it still says it's very minimal return. So is it really necessary? That's the question.
I think that the key is, I mentioned earlier in my comments that there's a $1.3 million gap, and the abatement is intended to help close that gap. Okay, the gap is what prevents them from doing the project, right? Once the project's up and running, then the operation of the business and whether it's successful or not, that's the risk that they're taking.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a difference there.
Okay.
What we're talking about is the risk to invest their money in the first place, and the abatement is one of the incentives that's intended to help overcome the cost gap and some of that risk. It doesn't entirely eliminate it, but it certainly makes it a more viable project.
Okay. And with the 12 years, technically the commission could do any amount of years, is that correct?
No, 12 years under that tax abatement program is the maximum that can be awarded.
Well, it's the maximum, but I read in the documents that the board doesn't have to go the full 12 years. They could grant them 5 years if they wanted to. Is
That would be
correct?
correct.
Okay. Do the schools have to approve this agreement for this portion, for the commercial redevelopment district?
No, none of the taxing jurisdictions have the ability to do that. Marine City is making that determination for all the taxing jurisdictions.
So even though it says in there that they're supposed to be notified, or that the state could change that?
Well, they are supposed to be notified, and they could appear here at the public hearing and express comments, but what they cannot do is withdraw their taxes and their revenue from the project. They don't have the ability to do that.
Do we know if they were notified?
They were.
Okay. But I did see something in there that the state could decide whether they give you the school money or not?
Yeah, that's the 6 mil SET, and that's a right that the state reserves on all tax abatements, no matter what type they are. So you have to request it, and they have to grant that approval.
Okay, so that still...
The applicant has to request it.
Okay, so that still could be in the process?
I don't recall if you guys requested that in your application.
It goes the next step.
Oh, MSF, yeah, that's correct. The MSF board hasn't acted yet. I guess that is their decision to make whether they're going to grant it
Okay,
or
and
not.
what happens if they don't grant it?
It slightly affects the numbers in the brownfield TIF capture,
Okay.
but it's not a significant difference overall.
One of the things I saw in a lot of these documents, and I know I talked to you, Mr. Hillfinger, after the last meeting, was we have a lot of different numbers. I see 3.3 in one, 4.3 in another. I heard 24 rooms tonight. I've seen 27 rooms, 42 rooms, 25 rooms. I guess I'd kind of like to see a document where we could get all of it down so that we know exactly what we're dealing with, because every one of these documents, and like I said, I've got this whole book full, there's a whole lot of them that have totally different numbers. So how do we get to where we got a solid number?
Well, as far as the rooms are concerned, I think through site plan approval, through the city's planning commission, we'll answer those questions. I mean, during the process of trying to figure out what could work as a business model, the Verdens were working with different numbers of rooms, the condos came into play, so that's why some of the numbers were different, because some of the documents that were given to different times kind of explaining what the project was about were at different times during our process of exploring ways to get to a point where it makes good business sense and it was the business with cash flow.
Okay, so are you close to that so that we'll have that document?
I think they submitted their site plan.
We submitted site plans, 2 weeks ago.
Okay. I haven't seen those, but I'm just basing it on all the different figures that I've been seeing.
I think what she's asking is that 27 rooms is 24.
I know. All I'm saying is that in all these documents, there's all different combinations of, so.
On the drawing, it's 24.
Okay. I see in the one document, it says that that's $213, which includes the $167,000 for the loan. Where does the $249 figure come in?
That's the grant from the DEQ. The MDEQ does their grant loan process so that, and the loan is guaranteed by the Vertons. And there's certain eligible activities under the brownfield for cleanup, that part of them will be paid through the loan, and part of them will be paid through the grant. And so that disbursement process, we had a kickoff meeting this morning, and DEQ representative showed up, and we went through that whole process of how the disbursements will work and how this, all this will be paid to, and how the bidding will be done to get contractors done.
So is it 213 or 249?
It's $249 grant,
Okay.
and it's a $167,000 loan.
Yeah, I just wondered where the 213 figure came in on,
It must have been a mistake. I apologize.
it's on this document, the brownfield one. It says 213, 167, and then there's a couple other figures. So I just trying to get how the figures go.
Yeah, that was noted by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation as something that needs to be updated.
Yeah, because it's through here quite a bit. Okay, so you're going to update that. So on this, the brownfield portion, the county, who's on the board, or where is this board at the county? Is it mostly county? I mean, who's it made up of?
No, it's made up of people that are appointed to the position. The only person from the county itself that is on the board is Dave Struck, who's the director of Metro Planning Agency. The rest of the members are appointed. Myself, Bud is on the Brownfield Authority as well. John Monty, who's down in this area, is on the board.
Okay, so then you guys will control this whole entire document?
Yeah, the Brownfield Plan is something that we have to oversee throughout its entire existence.
Okay. The only thing is, when they did this, they had the public hearing on the same day as one of our meetings, so a lot of times we couldn't go, and it would have been nicer if they could have had that on a day to coordinate so that the people and us could have attended that. So in the other process, it states that the city has to establish and implement an expedited local permitting and inspection process. Are we in the process of doing that for this district, or is that done?
It's not been done.
So that's something we still have to take care of? Okay, and how are we going to make sure that all the rules get followed, or do you guys have to manage this as far as all the reports and that are required?
Well, the Envirologic, who is the contractor that the board, or the commission approved 2 meetings ago, their contract, they will be administering the grant and loan and the brownfield plan.
Okay, and so they'll have to make sure that all the proper reports are put in and everything?
And we went over all that this morning. Envirologic was here this morning, and they'll work with City Manager Levin to make sure that all the quarterly reports are done. She'll have to sign off on them, and they'll go to the DEQ to get approved.
And then all those are public record for anybody to? Okay. Will the city be paying for any infrastructure improvements on the project?
Not that I know of it. They could be included in the brownfield plan and paid back through that process, but not that.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thanks.
Mr. Rupp. Yeah, I have several questions. I was impressed with Gary, where he loves Marine City and he stuck his neck out and he only got 5 years for abated. I have a problem with the 12-year abatement, and I'll give you an example why. You're basing the tax structure on Triune's property, what was the dealership. Well, as a business owner, I was assessed for all my equipment in my shop, and the city taxed me. Now, when my shop was brand new, and I had all brand new equipment, I paid a much higher tax. So the city made money off of me taxing my equipment, anything that I made money on. Now, if the Burtons have their hotel, their establishment, they're bringing people in, does the city get a tax? Is there a tax on hotel tax? Is there a state tax? Well, sure, there's a state tax, but is there a city tax going to be on it for your participants?
Are you talking about the hotel fee that goes to the Prevention Bureau?
Yes.
I assume that that's a separate item.
That is a separate item. But then the other thing is, what Tyun, what I'm going to get to is, you said his tax is only $9,000 for a building. That's not very much, but then if you think about it, when was the last time he bought updated equipment? 25 years ago?
Personal property tax.
Well, yeah, personal property.
There's an exemption for that now, the state got rid of it.
Right,
So
but
all you
what
have
I'm
to do is
saying
go-
is that when the property, you're basing on this property, you're basing the tax value that you're going to pay.
Those are separate taxes.
Well,
Real
all
estate
right,
tax and personal property tax are two different taxes.
how much, okay, let's cut to the chase. What I want to know is, you want to abate the property tax. What would, I believe you said, Tom, 50,000 would normally be the tax?
That's estimated for future value.
Future value. So that's at 12 years later, but then in other words, when a building is brand new, actually the tax value would be much higher per year, correct? No?
No, your taxes go up every year, your home increases.
Oh, okay, so then, all right, well, just to say, all right, you're talking, in other words, then, if I get my information right, you're talking $9,000 a year for taxes? That's what you're going to be paying? Or is it half 9,000, so in other words, you're going to be paying?
No. No, it's, they're going to pay fully on the 9,000. What's going to get abated is the new taxes that would ordinarily be levied on the improvements that they're making. That's what's 50%.
So
Because-
incremental, the difference between the 9,000 and the 50,000. So it's the what is it? I don't know, $41,000 tax. So if it's 50,000, it's the $41,000. Half of that would be the abated portion. The other half would be captured by the brownfield to pay back the loan from the DEQ and other entities.
But basically, you'd be paying $9,000 a year then, basically, correct?
Well, they
Okay.
still pay the rest of it, but it just gets.
But they're not, the brownfield and the other places are paying it, but the money's being brought in. The other thing is,
They pay those taxes.
They're paying the whole amount, but a portion of it is being captured by the plan to pay back the DEQ and to pay back the other.
but you're paying it, but then is like you're receiving it but,
That's right.
okay. All right, but all right, now something else too. Gary, I'm not Gary, but Bob, with his industry on DeGurse, he's feeding 200 families, okay? And you said you're only going to employ basically about 15 people, basically, okay? And I don't, Bob, I don't know if I put you on the spot. I don't know, where did you move from when you brought all your equipment up here? Illinois. And the city didn't give you one penny to bring all your equipment up here. And what I'm saying is, excuse me, what I'm saying is, like, he stuck out his neck a lot further, and the city only granted him 5 years. The other issue I want to say is that you're saying that, all right, my establishment is going to bring business to the community. That's fine, but the city is not going to get money from Sweet Tooth. The city is not going to get money from the restaurants. You know, that's fine. They're going to spend their money in the city, but the businesses are going to receive that money. The city needs to grow on taxes. How the city makes its obligation, thank you. Obligations like to pay for the city services is through the taxes of this, I'm trying to say the word, the business owner.
There's 4 condos that will generate new taxes above the $9,000. Once or so.
Okay. And then, it may, if I'm not, I want you to clarify on the Snug Theater, is it nonprofit?
It has nothing to do with.
What I'm saying is, it's not a nonprofit, you're paying taxes on it? Okay, I thought somebody said that it was a nonprofit, you're not paying taxes.
It says they're not making a profit. They're not making any money. Salary.
Okay, because what I'm getting at, I'd like to see our city strive, and it's a hard thing when it's nice that you're bringing tourists into our town, which is fantastic. I'm all for it. I have nothing against the hotel. I want to see it exceed. You're sticking your neck out. You're a person, Tom, that you do crunch numbers. You know what? You understand about crunching numbers and making things work. I understand that. But I also know as a businessman, after 3 years being in business, if things are not going kosher, you start making changes. And by 5 years, if you're not making any money and making a business work in 5 years' timing, usually the business goes under. And I think you're quite a businessman. When it's a new structure, the taxes is totally different. It's not like what you're saying, the homes only increase with the Nenny Amendment, that's only a 0.5% increase, but when it's a new structure, it's based on that structure about how much money that the revenue that the city's going to make. And to me, I understand, I would love to give you a break, I have no problem with it, but I cannot accept 12 years. I can work with you, I understand about getting a loan, you're talking $1 million loan, yeah, having tax evasion, it's a lot easier with the bank, but I would like to see at 5 year and see what happens. I can grant you at that, no problem, but we just went through PA 33, and one of the issues on the PA 33, they wanted to have another shift for the police department, and part of that having another shift for the police department was for your guests at your hotel. In other words, there's 24/7 our own police in our town. There was a portion that was one of the things, but it got turned down, and I just feel like part of business, cities make money is on the businesses. That's why you have to have a strong industrial business complex to make the city to make money. But then you want to ask the taxpayers, the homeowners, to raise our taxes, and it's like a slap in the face. We just turned it down, and it wasn't by that much, but it did get turned down, the PA 33. And I just understand, you know, we worked out our budget, we budgeted our budget, but the city needs money. I wish you can reevaluate your numbers or your establishment. I know you're competent, you know the hotel is going to make it. I just can't exceed 5 years. And that's only trying to be fair with Bob. Our city only granted Bob 5 years, and he's employing 200 families. That's something where's the piece of the pie? I want to be fair. I can't just say, well, I'm just going to give it to you. No, I can't do that.
We're not giving out these grants. Right?
Not the grant, but the tax abatement is what I'm getting around to it, is the tax abatement. 12 years is a long time.
There will be no hotel. What you'll have is a vacant piece of property that won't pay any additional taxes. And you have people that are putting in $3 million of their own money to make an investment in our town.
But you keep on saying make an investment in our town, but the city doesn't get any money of it.
You don't see money now.
But no, we get $9,000 and whatever he sold, what I'm saying, but you say.
You had the floor.
But, wait a minute, but.
You're repeating yourself. You're just talking in circles. Let's give somebody else a chance. Commissioner Simpson?
We've over the past several months, the Burton's indicated that this project has been going on for a number of years now. Anyone that's been following it, certainly us up here have received a lot of documentation. Certainly tonight, we've received a lot of wonderful information that updates. Commissioner Hendrick had a lot of questions. He indicated that, the information that we are looking at is pretty well updated with the exception of a handful of items that will be addressed. I think one of the things we hear is the city's money. I think that's been well addressed. That the city is still maintaining their money, and we will ultimately receive, I believe the figure, if I heard it right, $1.2 million for the 4 condos. Ballpark estimated. The city will be receiving additional revenues for that. How many times at our budget workshops over the past several years have we heard about we need to have more water use to start leveling off, our water plant that runs at, 30-40% capacity and can't break even until 60% capacity. All these are benefits to the city, not to mention the tourism. I've got a lot of family from out of state. It would be wonderful that they don't have to go up to Port Huron or somewhere in Macomb to be able to spend some time with us. I got married this past summer. One of the reasons why we didn't host a wedding in the city I live in and love is because there was no place to keep 48 guests from out of town, period. No, there wasn't even an option. And so I think you can try to crunch numbers or nitpick certain things, but you can't doubt that this has some wonderful benefits that's not just monetized in, increment finance measure right there. I'm in support of it. I think the Burtons, as evidence of the very detailed plans, and many of the folks that have spoken here tonight have really done their homework on this plan. I don't think it's a fly-by-night plan. I think it's a well-researched plan from many angles. You wouldn't be able to get this support from the many different agencies involved over this length of time if it wasn't a well-founded plan. And ultimately, as we've heard, they are on the hook and they're the ones taking the risk. Certainly the city has some aspects there, but they're the ones physically taking much of the risk. It is a wonderful thing to have. I manage the Performing Arts Center. Many of you guys know we have to put up when individuals rent our facility to bring in professional touring acts. We have to put them outside of our city. We could have booked 68 room nights last year alone. It'd be a wonderful asset to have in our community just for that. When the district brings in choir clinicians and those types of things, these fundraising groups that bring those groups in had to find lodging for them. Last year we put them way up in Port Huron. It would be nice to be able to showcase our community with them. And ultimately they'd have more time to work with our students. So there's many, many things that aren't just monetized in, future taxation, which we would ultimately receive, which other people are receiving through reimbursement. That's why I'm in favor of this, and I would move to approve Resolution 015 of 2016, establishing a commercial redevelopment district for the Inn on Water Street LLC.
Support. Motion support. Was there discussion? I'd just like to say publicly that I'm totally in favor of this. I think it's going to be fantastic for the city, and that the fact that we have some people that maybe didn't like the deal they got in the past is really neither here nor there. We can't go and address that, but we do have an excellent opportunity here to add terrific value to our city. We have developers that want to put in $3.3 million of their own money that are backing out loans. The risk to the city is so minimal, it's not even worth discussing. So I'm in full support of the project. Anyone else? We have a roll call, please.
Mayor Skatarczyk.
Yes.
Commissioner Avery.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yep, I'd like to qualify mine. I'm fully supportive of the hotel, just not the abatement, so mine's no.
This is only for commercial redevelopment district.
That's where you get the abatement.
Commissioner Lovett.
Yes.
Commissioner Melly.
I like to clarify my vote, and I'm all for the hotel, but as you can see, I'm against the abatement. I just want to clear it. That's why I'm voting no. Thank you.
Commissioner Simpson.
Yes.
Commissioner Turning.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to item 11I, which is commercial facilities exemption certificate and on Water Street.
I make a motion that we approve resolution number 017-2016 to approve a commercial facilities exemption certificate application PA 255 of 1978 as amended.
Support. Good motion, support, discussion. Seeing none, let's have another roll call, please.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No.
Commissioner Lovett,
Yes.
Commissioner Melly,
No.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Absolutely, yes.
Mayor Skarjik,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to item 11J, which is amend the Brownfield plan for Inn on Water Street.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 018-2016 supporting a brownfield plan amendment in accordance with provisions of Act 381 of the Public Acts of the State of Michigan of 1996 as amended.
Support.
Motion support. Any discussion? I guess we'll continue the roll call votes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No.
Commissioner Lovett,
Yes.
Commissioner Melly,
No.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Once again, absolutely, yes.
Mayor Skarjik,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Board. Moving on to item 11K, which is Brownfield Plan Development Reimbursement Agreement Inn on Water Street.
I make a motion to approve the development reimbursement agreement for the Brownfield Plan Development. Yes, as presented in item 11K.
Support.
I strongly support that.
Motion and support.
What are you on? I'm on.
We're on item 11K.
I'm sorry, I missed that. I heard J instead of K. Thank you.
It's getting tough.
Yeah, it is.
Roll call.
Wait.
Oh, discussion.
I just want to make sure that we do update, we've discussed this in previous conversations, but I want to make sure that the $215,000 and terms of agreement 3.1, if we can just double check those figures, just to make sure that they're all...
They have the right figures, they just need to change them to plan.
Yeah.
Well, they got to fix this. It says 27, it's 24, it says 3.3, you said it's 4.2. These figures aren't correct. That's the only thing I'm looking for is correct figures. That's why I don't want to approve until it's corrected.
I have one suggestion, if you don't mind. In your resolution on this item, at the end of the resolution, put after review by the city attorney as to form. If you add those words to your resolution, what that allows is the city attorney to basically approve the document once those changes have been made, as long as it does not materially change the document. What do you think about that, Mr. Downey?
Yeah, that'd be fine, Mr. Casey.
So someone want to make a
Commissioner
motion?
Levitt, would you include that?
I so amended, I'm sorry.
I would include that in my support.
Just so you're saying like what he said, right?
Yeah.
Chris, did you?
Had to do with after review as to form by the city attorney.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that for?
After review as to form, based on review of the city attorney.
Review by the city attorney as to form at the bottom of the resolution. Okay, by city attorney Downey.
Got it.
Well, that's also in your recording, right?
Pardon me?
It'll be in the recording you're doing?
Yes, it will.
All right, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lovett,
Yes.
Commissioner Melly,
No.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Skarjik,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No.
motion carries.
Thanks again, board. It's going to be a great project. I'm really excited. Moving on to, I don't sound so excited because it's like really late, but I'm really excited and happy that you're doing this. Congratulations.
Yes.
Moving on to item 11L, which is board appointment for the library board.
I'll make a motion to appoint Mayor Beth Schindler to the library board. Support.
Motion support, any discussion? I think she's an excellent choice for this position, so I wholeheartedly back it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome to the library board. Moving on to item
11M.
11M.
Make a motion to approve the agreement for the City of Marine City to hire Susan Wilborn as our new building inspector.
The motion is support. Any discussions? All right. Do we need a roll call for this? Is this? Do not. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have a new building official. Yay. When is she starting?
As soon as you sign it.
Do you know when she'd be starting?
I don't have a start date yet, but as soon as possible.
All right. Moving on to item 12A, which is financial business.
I move to approve disbursements including payroll in the amount of $97,295.20.
Support.
Motion is support. Any discussion on the disbursements? Do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Malley,
No.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Scarpet,
Yes.
Commissioner Akers,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Lennon,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, board. Moving on to the city manager's report.
Not much to report. Just wanted to let you know the SCS, and I believe Jim Downey also provided us the same legislative update regarding that gag order for ballot measures. A federal judge has permanently enjoined that, which in essence means that we're back to the old law.
Are we gagged or not?
We're not gagged anymore. And as Ray mentioned earlier, patronicity funding has been approved. Next week, we'll be working with them to set up the time frame for when we'll get that kicked off, and also when they'll come out and shoot a small video for it. And we should be able to provide a link on our webpage for the donations through patronicity.
They're going to come out and do a promotional video.
Correct.
And help us with marketing. It's all part of the program. So it's a really great program.
Yeah.
Is this a one-time relationship with them, or can we do this in future?
We can do it for anything.
Yeah.
As long as it meets the parameters. But yeah, this, I think, seems like a great way to really establish a relationship with this company, see what they can do for us, and think about them for any other future needs.
They have very specific parameters, but our city falls right in line with them. And the other thing they look for is that there's a benefit to the public, general public. So it's an excellent program. I'm glad.
Well, I was just thinking of the rec center. That might be possible.
I think so.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Simpson, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I just touch on a couple things. As mentioned briefly, but we completed our budget workshops this past week, and just pleased that we've approved done the work, not quite approved yet, a balanced budget for the coming year. It doesn't take care of a lot of the heavy lifting and capital expenditures, but I think it's still something to be proud of. It does it with a very nominal water increase, and it's just, we haven't had to do much of water increase this year, and I think that folks should be happy with that. I heard a couple people mention things referring to elections in the vocal majority. I just want to remind people that it's not a majority. When 24% of people come out for an election, that's not a majority. This past school board election had fewer than 23%. Still not a majority. So when people phrase things as a vocal majority, no, it's still a vocal minority. It's still disappointing. We have over 3,000 registered voters and not even 1,000 show up. That's a real problem for any city, any municipality. Unfortunately, I don't think we're unique in that, but not a majority. And I think that's an important distinction. It's unfortunate that, once again, a handful of people speak for an entire group. So I'm not sure if it's apathy or whatever. I said, again, it's not unique to us, but it is not a vocal majority. I couldn't let that go without correcting that.
Commissioner Avery?
I would use my commissioner privilege to allow people to go home early tonight, earlier, so I have nothing.
This is a record. Commissioner Hendrick?
I'll pass.
Commissioner 11.
I just want to thank the Burtons for all the work. You've gotten through a major portion of your journey today. I'm looking forward to seeing, as much as I love Terhunes and Ed and meeting there, it's going to be wonderful to see that beautiful site in that place. It certainly will be an asset to our city. Thank you. I shut up, see?
I'd also like to thank the Burtons, and I applaud you to sit there through this whole thing with a smile on your face. My God.
Is that a smile?
Well, they were smiling. Quite often, they were smiling.
She's an actress.
I couldn't do it. So, thank you anyway. Congratulations.
Commissioner Melly?
Pass.
I'm not gonna, it's tired, it's late, I'm not gonna say much, I got 1,000 notes here, but there's no way I'm gonna even deal with it. I just would like to say that instead of complaining about bringing grants into the town and spending tax money to benefit our community, we should be getting applauded for it, because this money is gonna get spent. You might be opposed to spending tax dollars on this or that, but it's gonna get spent. This money, they get a budget every year, they set so much money aside, they pass it out, it gets spent. But it's going to get spent here, and that's a great thing. And I can't see why anybody thinks that's a bad thing. And with that, I'm looking for
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I didn't even finish.
I know what you're going to say.
All in favor, say aye.
What about a vote?
You didn't need to